Chapter 95. Boom! Bang! Another explosion of yuan power came from the stage. The next moment, Tugu's figure was forced back by several snow-white blade chi. He then staggered and fell to the ground, his face instantly turning pale. Damn it! This great Chu martial artist! How is he so strong? Tugu clenched his fist. His dark face suddenly surged with anger, as if he was extremely unwilling. However, Fei Ren's strength had far exceeded his imagination. Even though he had used the Southern Barbarian's secret art and forcefully raised his yuan power cultivation to the 5th level of the Middle Unity stage, he was still no match for Fei Ren. Moreover, he was faintly at a disadvantage. The Southern Barbarians are ultimately barbarians. How can they be compared to the martial artists of my Dachu dynasty? After forcing Tugu back with a single blade, Fei Ren stood on his blade. The sharp blade flickered with a cold light. Strands of boundless yuan power could be faintly seen entwined within it, emitting a biting cold green light. It caused fear in people's hearts, and they did not dare to approach. Currently, Fei Ren was quietly standing on the same spot like an unparalleled killing god. The previously aggressive Tugu had completely withered. Not only had he used up more than half of his yuan power, but his aura had also decreased greatly. The powerful attitude that Tugu had when he used the barbarian King Fist to force Fei Ren back had also disappeared. Only deep fear and disbelief remained in his eyes as he looked at Fei Ren. Fei Ren is going to win? Outside the arena, Xiaoba revealed a trace of joy. If Fei Ren could defeat Tugu, it would be considered as completing the task given to him by Prince Jin Chuan. It would undoubtedly be a great merit. What a valiant young man! This Fei Ren can actually suppress a southern barbarian like Tugu. Moreover, he is challenging someone of a higher realm. What a terrifying fellow! Nonsense. A few days ago, this Fei Ren was also a ruthless person who obtained 10 consecutive victories. Even Sun Xingtai, a veteran martial artist at the 4th level of the Middle Unity realm, wasn't his match. What does this abrupt bone count for? How satisfying! This fellow had killed many martial artists from the Dachu dynasty. He was too hateful. If it was me, I would have killed him. Xiaoba wasn't the only one. As the battle became more and more intense, the spectators on the high platform also began to discuss spiritedly. For a time, the clamor was endless. Some of the gamblers who had bet on Abrupt Bone's victory revealed unwilling expressions. They shook their heads and sighed repeatedly, as if they regretted not betting on Fei Ren. A Middle Union Stage 2 beating up a Middle Union Stage 5 was indeed somewhat outrageous. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have dared to believe that Fei Ren could turn defeat into victory and firmly suppress Tugu, who came from the southwestern barbarian tribe. After all, in yesterday's competition, Abrupt Bone had single-handedly obtained 12 consecutive victories. He was a ruthless character who had taken countless lives. Who would have thought that he would fall at the hands of Fei Ren today? Great Chu warrior, what is your name? Although he was at a disadvantage, Tugu did not seem to have any intention of surrendering. He slowly stood up with a fierce expression on his face. Fei Ren. As he spoke, Fei Ren's expression was calm. At the same time, he raised the Demon Slayer in his hand again. With his traceless snow steps movement technique, he was not afraid of a surprise attack from his opponent. Even if he only defended and did not attack, with his current movement technique speed, Tugu would not even be able to touch the corner of his clothes. Fei Ren had chosen to fight Tugu in close combat. First, it was to temper his strength. After all, he had just broken through to the 2nd stage of the Middle Union stage. Second, it was to temper his physique. After all, on the path of martial arts, although the cultivation of origin power was important, one could not neglect one's physique. Since ancient times on the Xian Star continent, martial artists who could cultivate their origin power and physique to the limit had all become peerless heroes who dominated a region. There were even some valiant body-refining martial artists who could cover the sky with one hand and step on mountains with their feet. They could be called mighty gods in the human world. Feiren, if I kill you, I will definitely become stronger. With a cruel and dry smile, Gu ignored the injuries on his body and once again erupted with all the origin power in his body. In the next moment, he pounced towards Feiren with a crazed expression, intending to perish together with him. Roar! Gu roared towards the sky. Gu's entire upper body bulged at an astonishing speed. His muscles bulged as if his strength had risen to an extreme. At the same time, strands of origin power gushed out like a surging river, like a black bear in the night sky. Playing with your life? You're not qualified. Seeing that Gu had exhausted all the origin power in his body and was rapidly approaching, Feiren's wrist flicked slightly. At the same time, Demon Slayer slashed out again. In an instant, a dozen snow-white blade chi appeared. The snow-white blade chi whistled through the air and finally condensed into a huge shadow of a snow wolf. Barbarian King Fist. In an instant, Gu's fist energy broke through the obstruction of the blade chi snow wolf. Although the remaining power was greatly reduced, it still attacked Feiren. Traceless snow steps. In the face of Gu's powerful attack, Feiren's expression was calm. In the next moment, his feet fiercely stomped on the ground, and his entire body strangely flashed to the side. With a gust of wind, he perfectly dodged this powerful attack, turning danger into safety. Schwa! Ugh! The fist energy cut through the air without any target. It was as if a full-force punch had landed on soft cotton, causing Gu to involuntarily feel his heart skip a beat. A sweetness surged up his throat, and he almost vomited blood from the backlash of the remaining power. Rumble! Following a series of explosions, the granite ground beneath Feiren's feet shattered, leaving behind a huge crater. Only then did the remaining power of the origin power slowly disappear. I'll take your life. Once again using traceless snow steps, Feiren's figure gradually disappeared. In the next moment, he flashed in front of Gu. Great Chu! Martial artist! Gu's face was filled with shock. He had never imagined that Feiren had actually not used his full strength, and that his full-force attack had been easily dodged by his opponent. 5 Mountain King capturing palm. Feiren's left hand suddenly blasted forward, and a mountain-like palm energy swept out. Immediately, it penetrated Gu's chest, causing blood to splatter on the spot. You die! Strands of yuan power once again gushed out from his palm, shattering all of Gu's meridians. In the next moment, Feiren suddenly withdrew his left hand, his expression solemn. Plop! Feiren had cut open his entire chest, causing blood to flow everywhere. At this moment, Gu's body had also fallen to the ground. His eyes were lifeless, and there was no sign of life in him. He was deader than dead, and not even an immortal could save him. Clang, clang. A wisp of yuan power flame gushed out from his palm, evaporating all the blood on his hand. In the next moment, Feiren turned and jumped off the stage, leaving Gu's corpse lying quietly on the ground. For a time, the entire place was silent. Dead. He's really dead. At the side of the stage, a gray-clothed servant in charge of the referee had long since peed his pants. At this moment, he was dumbfounded as he watched Feiren slowly leave, as if he had seen something unbelievable. Chapter 96. This kid actually killed Gu. Damn it, we've lost yet another good helper. Seeing Feiren kill Gu, Xiaoba furrowed his brows, his expression uncertain. In the next moment, he quietly turned around and left without a trace. He's really dead? Hiding in the crowd, Yen Hong's expression was solemn as he watched Gu's tragic death. In the next moment, a sinister glint flashed across his eyes. Stinking brat, serves you right for being so arrogant. It's just that this Fei Rin killed the Tugu, and because of this, the sect has lost a consecrator. The sect master will definitely blame me. Looks like I have to think of a way. Glancing at Fei Ren on the stage below, Yen Hong's eyes were filled with uncertainty. He then slowly left the stage and disappeared. Tugu is dead? This Fei Ren actually killed that southwestern barbarian. This kid's cultivation is merely at Middle Union's second layer, but his strength is so terrifying. He's not much weaker than the Wind Martial Sect Master. This body refinement expert from the southwestern barbarian tribe had a comprehensive strength that was comparable to a 6th-level Middle Union stage martial artist. Yet, he had actually been killed by a nobody like Fei Ren. It wasn't just Xiaoba and Yen Hong who felt incredulous. Even the spectators who had placed their bets on Abrupt Bone's victory were in disbelief. After killing Tugu, Fei Ren did not stay in the arena any longer and quietly left. At this time, the Green Sun Arena was in an uproar because of the battle between Fei Ren and Tugu. The atmosphere was extremely hot. Brother Xiahou, fortunately, I did not disappoint you. At the entrance of a secluded alley, Fei Ren raised his eyes to look at Xiaoba and cupped his fists. According to the agreement from before, he had successfully defeated Tugu. However, the outcome was slightly different. Tugu was unwilling to submit. Thus, he could only act and kill Tugu. This could serve as a warning to those with ulterior motive. After all, Fei Ren was not a fool. He knew his current situation. Now that his strength had been completely exposed, if he was not ruthless, not only would Prince Jin's Chu Wen be in trouble, but also some hidden forces in the county city would target him. It would inevitably cause trouble. Brat, I told you to defeat him, not to kill him. Seeing Fei Ren's calm expression, Xiaoba was also somewhat displeased. He clenched his fist and coldly snorted. According to his original plan, Tugu would eventually be subdued and become one of King Jin Chu Wen's death warriors. However, Fei Ren's ruthlessness and decisiveness had disrupted his plans. He had taken Tugu's life with a single strike, showing no mercy at all. He's not someone who's willing to submit to others. If he wanted to submit, this southern barbarian wouldn't have fought with me on the stage and been killed by me in the end. Shaking his head, Fei Ren's expression remained calm in the face of Xiaoba's reprimand. Moreover, this abrupt bonehead is all brawn and no brains. He only has brute strength but no intelligence. Even if he doesn't die in my hands, he will eventually die in the hands of other enemies. This kind of trash is not worth mentioning. You! Hearing this, Xiaoba's eyes widened in anger. However, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Although he was extremely displeased, Fei Ren's every word was reasonable. He had also witnessed the entire battle. Compared to Fei Ren's courage, wits, and strength, a brute like Tugu was indeed not worth mentioning. Be more careful in the future. His Majesty King Jin doesn't like people who act on their own. If there's a next time, even I won't be able to protect you. Xiaoba clenched his fists tightly. Due to Fei Ren's exceptional talent and the fact that he was a valiant general that he had taken great pains to recruit, Xiaoba could only endure it and lightly snorted. Thank you for the information, Brother Xiahou. Seeing Xiaoba's helpless expression, Fei Ren also cupped his hands. His expression was as usual, as if he had already expected this. Compared to a dead man like Tugu, it was obvious that Fei Ren's value was greater to King Jin. Moreover, from this battle, one could see just how deep Fei Ren's talent and potential was. Xiaoba would naturally not make things too difficult for Fei Ren. I will report the result of this battle to His Majesty King Jin. Remember to come to the Imperial City to collect the antidote half a year later. Otherwise, I won't be able to help you if the goo devours you and kills you. Xiaoba took out a green jade token from his spirit ring and tossed it to Fei Ren. In the next moment, Xiaoba's lips curled into a sneer. Subsequently, He leapt and his figure instantly disappeared. King Jin's mansion's entry token looking away from the direction that Xiahou Ba had left in, Fei Ren gently rubbed the green jade token in his hand with a thoughtful expression. Although Xiahou Ba was unaware that the goo had already been refined by him, the Imperial City was where the top practitioners of the entire Dachu dynasty gathered. Experts were as common as clouds both inside and outside the Imperial City. Even without his relationship with King Jin, there would eventually come a day when he would head to the Imperial City to train and raise his strength. The next morning, news of Fei Ren defeating Tuogu in the Azure Sun Arena had spread far and wide. After knowing that Fei Ren was only a wandering cultivator, many refinement stage practitioners viewed him as their idol. There were even some who had nothing better to do who wrote books and biographies about him, which were quite exaggerated. However, after this battle, Fei Ren's reputation had also risen. His name was widely spread among the younger generation of the entire Azure Sun County city. His reputation and prestige were once on par with Zi Donglai of the Purple Sun Chamber of Commerce and the Wind Spirit Pavilion of the Wind Martial Sect. Zi Donglai was the young master of the Purple Sun Chamber of Commerce, while the Wind Spirit Pavilion was the young master of the Wind Martial Sect. Not only were the two of them young, they were also genuine Middle Union Stage 8th layer experts. Their strength was unfathomable. From this, one could see just how big of an impact Fei Ren had on the Battle of Tuogu in the Azure Sun Arena. There were even some factions in the county city that began to secretly investigate Fei Ren's background in an attempt to rope Fei Ren in. For a time, undercurrents were surging in the Azure Sun County city. Inner city, Bloodblade Sect's lair, in a large hall, that damned fellow. Suddenly, a middle-aged man viciously threw the teacup in his hand onto the ground. The teacup instantly shattered as his expression turned extremely ugly. "Master, this is what happened. Everything was done by that brat called Fei Ren. Tuogu was killed by him." Beside him, Yen Hong secretly swallowed his saliva when he saw the middle-aged man fly into a rage. He then cupped his hands together and spoke in a low voice. His eyes were filled with fear. The middle-aged man before him was the master of the Bloodblade sect, Chao Shun. As one of Chao Shun's most capable subordinates for many years, Yen Hong naturally understood the other party's temperament. As expected, when Chao Shun first learned of Tuogu's death, his face turned ashen. Fei Ren, I want you dead." With a loud roar, Chao Shun's left hand turned into a palm blade and violently smashed the table and chairs beside him into a pile of fine powder. In order to invite Tuogu, a southern barbarian expert, to the Bloodblade sect as a guest elder, Chao Shun had practically paid a heavy price. Now that the Bloodblade sect had yet to rise, the other party had been defeated by a nobody like Fei Ren and had died tragically in the Azure Sun Arena. He naturally could not tolerate this. "If I don't take revenge, I'm not a man." Eyes red, Chao Shun gnashed his teeth as he spoke. Chapter 97. At the same time, Fei Ren did not know that he had been targeted by the Bloodblade sect and continued to cultivate in seclusion. He still had a third-grade pill in his hand, the first Origin Heart Recovery pill, that he had not consumed yet. Although he had just broken through to the second level of the Middle Unity Realm, Fei Ren, who had the immortal refining cauldron, had a very stable cultivation base. Even if he broke through continuously, his vitality would not be unstable. In addition, he had been in the limelight for the past 2 days, which inevitably attracted the attention of some forces in Azure Sun County. Therefore, Fei Ren needed to improve his cultivation strength even more. This way, he would have more initiative in the face of danger and trouble. In an inn in the outer city of Azure Sun County. "First Origin Heart Recovery pill, I'm counting on you." A sparkling and translucent pill lay quietly in his palm, emitting waves of pill fragrance. In the next moment, Fei Ren took a deep breath, raised his head and swallowed the pill. Gulp! Gulp! As the pill entered his body, a cold chill spread throughout Fei Ren's entire body. The first Yuan returning heart pill's main ingredient was the cold ice spirit grass, which had a yin and cold nature. It was refined with several yellow-rank low-level monster cores. Although it could help a middle and high-level martial artist to break through a realm, it was also a great test for the martial artist's physique. Refine. Because he was in the immortal refining cauldron, Fei Ren's physique was far stronger than ordinary martial artists. The chill contained in the first Origin Heart Recovery Pill was naturally nothing. Soon, it was evaporated by the spirit fire condensed by his essence energy. Strands of medicinal power also slowly flowed through his 8 extraordinary meridians into the center of his dantian. Shwa. The aura on Fei Ren's body was rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short while, he was on the verge of a breakthrough. Breakthrough. With a shout, Fei Ren's hand seals suddenly changed as he circulated the black tortoise longevity scripture. At the same time, a drop of hot sweat dripped down his handsome face. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a slight tremor came from the center of his dantian. A large amount of essence energy spread out like an endless stream of seawater. At the same time, Fei Ren's dantian faintly expanded. His cultivation base had also successfully broken through, stepping into the third level of the Middle Unity realm. Third level of the Middle Union realm. I've finally broken through. Fei Ren did not remove the aura around his body. Although he did not do it deliberately, there was still a murderous aura around him. It was like an invisible killing aura, causing people to feel a chill. What kind of concept was this? Only warriors who had experienced countless slaughters would have the opportunity to form such an aura. He was almost gnashing his teeth as he spoke. No one knew how much he had paid to invite Tu Wugu, a southern barbarian expert. Now that Tu Wugu was dead, there was only endless anger and hatred left in his chest. He wanted to kill Fei Ren as soon as possible. Who are you? Ignoring Chao Shun's question, Fei Ren secretly circulated his origin power. His eyes narrowed and a mocking smile appeared on his lips. Whether it was Chao Shun in front of him or Yen Hong, he did not recognize either of them. Seeing Yen Hong bring a group of people with a murderous aura, Fei Ren was somewhat surprised. Other than the Tang family, he did not have any enmity with any other faction in the county city. That's right, Tu Wugu was a guest elder of the Bloodblade sect. They are from the Bloodblade sect. Suddenly remembering Xiaoba's instructions, Fei Ren's expression suddenly became enlightened. It turned out that Yen Hong was here to avenge Tu Wugu. Everything made sense now. What? You sharp-tongued little bastard. Today, I will make sure you die without a burial ground. Seeing Fei Ren's casual and disdainful attitude, Chao Shun was instantly enraged. In the next moment, his body rushed out. At the same time, his hands formed into claws and grabbed at Fei Ren's head, intending to crush his skull. Brothers, let's kill this brat and avenge the abbot. Kill! Charge! Twist this bastard's head off! Seeing Chao Shun suddenly make a move, Yen Hong, who was at the side, also shouted loudly. Then, he also circulated his Yuan Qi and attacked. As for the remaining Bloodblade sect disciples, they also shouted loudly and aggressively waved their weapons towards Fei Ren. For a moment, Yuan Qi was wreaking havoc, causing strong winds to surge. You're courting death. Seeing Chao Shun, Yen Hong and the others charging at him, Fei Ren's face was filled with anger. Then, with a shout, he raised his hand and blasted out dozens of fierce snake shadows. They wrapped around the group of Bloodblade sect disciples in an imposing manner. Originally, Fei Ren did not want to start a feud with Yen Hong. Killing Tu Wugu was also to prove King Jin's loyalty. However, since the Bloodblade sect had come to him, he naturally would not show mercy. Coincidentally, he had just broken through and was in urgent need of a big battle to consolidate his strength. Chapter 98. Ah. Dozens of sharp snake shadows entered an uninhabited area. With a few miserable cries, they instantly killed a few disciples of the Blood Blade sect. Blood splattered in all directions, leaving behind only a pool of blood. Not even their corpses remained. Quasi-grade 3 martial arts? Seeing that Fei Ren had killed several of his subordinates in one move, Yan Hong's expression changed slightly. At the same time, he changed his Yuan power attack. He raised his hand and blasted out a stream of Yuan power towards Fei Ren's abdomen. Die! Even though Fei Ren had blocked several Bloodblade sect's disciples, Chao Shun and Yan Hong's attacks came one after another. Black tortoise armor. With a thought, Fei Ren's body was covered with a layer of silver-white scale armor. At the same time, he circulated his Yuan power protection to defend his body. He chose to face Chao Shun and Yan Hong's pincer attack head-on. Bang! Fist, claw, and Yuan power heavily bombarded Fei Ren's body. Immediately, a loud muffled sound rang out. In the next moment, Fei Ren's face turned pale. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and his figure could not help but retreat. Bang! Boom! After smashing several large trees, Fei Ren's figure slowly came to a stop. However, at this moment, his face was somewhat pale and his expression serious. Relying on the dual defense of the black tortoise armor and his Yuan power protection, he only suffered some light injuries. It was not a big problem. However, Chao Shun in front of him was a martial artist at the 7th level of the Middle Union stage. Although Yan Hong's strength was not much, he still had a cultivation at the 2nd level of the Middle Union stage. Even if they were only harassing him from the side, he would feel a headache. Moreover, there were many Bloodblade sect's disciples around him. These small fries were generally at the 9th level of the body refinement stage. Although he could kill Fei Ren in one move, it would be a waste of Yuan power. The Bloodblade sect's leader, Chao Shun, was his only strong opponent. I've overestimated myself. This Chao Shun's strength is several times stronger than the toe bone. I am not his opponent in a head-on clash. Fei Ren reached out to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. His gaze was fierce. Although he had dealt with a few Bloodblade sect's disciples, they were still small fries. If Chao Shun did not die, it would be difficult for him to escape. Little bastard, I was wondering how capable you were. In the end, you're just trash at the Middle Unity Realm 3rd level. After forcing Fei Ren back with one move, Chao Shun retracted his claws, his expression cruel and emotionless. Little brat, only death awaits those who offend our Bloodblade sect. Seeing Chao Shun suppressing Fei Ren and gaining the upper hand in terms of aura, Yan Hong laughed out loud. His tone was mocking, as if he was a villain intoxicated with success. This made Fei Ren very unhappy. You piece of trash, I will kill you in a while. Glancing at the arrogant and despotic Yan Hong, Fei Ren's killing intent was revealed. He now more or less understood that when he killed the toe bone in the Azure Sun Arena, it was Yan Hong who reported it. In the end, it attracted the attention of Chao Shun, the Bloodblade sect's leader. Now that the other party was coming at him menacingly and he was one against many, the best strategy was naturally to kill the weak first. There was an ancient saying that went, "Pick the soft persimmon." Fei Ren naturally understood this saying. You're Chao Shun, right? You're the Bloodblade sect's leader. It's bad enough that you're bullying the weak, but you're also ganging up on me. You're really shameless to the extreme. Fei Ren snorted coldly. Although he was in a dangerous situation, there was not a trace of panic on his face. Instead, he continued to speak rudely and provokingly. Chao Shun had a cultivation base of 7th level Middle Union. Moreover, he was a veteran expert of Azure Sun County City. Just by relying on his Yuan power and his bare hands, he was able to firmly suppress Fei Ren. This was enough to show the depth of his opponent's strength. Fei Ren naturally did not dare to be careless. What a sharp tongue! Let's see where you can run to today. With a cruel smile, Chao Shun did not waste any more words with Fei Ren. He once again attacked with his claw, aiming for Fei Ren's heart meridian. Traceless snow steps. Seeing Chao Shun attack again, Fei Ren's pupils shrank. At the same time, his feet stirred up the wind as he leapt into the air and dodged the opponent's attack. At the same time, he pulled out the demon slayer from his back and slashed out a snow-white blade chi, killing a Bloodblade sect disciple. Blood splattered on the spot. Grade 3 movement technique. After his attack missed, Chao Shun's face was slightly surprised. The Fei Ren in front of him had repeatedly used strange moves. His strength was far beyond that of an ordinary third-level Middle Union stage practitioner. This already surprised him. Sect leader, this kid is a little strange. His strength cannot be compared to an ordinary practitioner. We should eliminate him as soon as possible. After witnessing the fierce battle between Fei Ren and Tugu, Yan Hong was also very clear about Fei Ren's strength. He immediately reminded in a low voice, his face similarly ashen. Attack together! Kill him! With a loud shout, Chao Shun also pulled out the large blood-colored blade from his waist and slashed out several blood-colored blade lights in the air. His murderous aura soared, as if this large blood-colored blade was also a decent grade 2 soul treasure and was incomparably sharp. In less than a quarter of an hour after several exchanges, not only did Fei Ren not suffer any serious injuries, he even slaughtered all of Chao Shun's subordinates in front of him. This was something that Chao Shun found hard to accept. Traceless snow steps. Seeing that the opponent was no longer probing and attacking with all his strength, Fei Ren also released all the Yuan power in his body without reservation. At the same time, he stomped heavily on the ground and leapt onto a treetop. He turned around and fled towards the southwest direction of the dense forest. Chao Shun was the sect leader of the Bloodblade sect, also known as the Bloodblade. It was difficult to find a match for him among practitioners of the same level. He was quite famous in the vicinity of Azure Sun County City. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, Fei Ren's current strength was somewhat difficult to deal with, not to mention that the opponent had led a group of people to attack with a group of lackeys behind him. Retreat in order to advance. Chase this young master if you have the guts. Without looking back, Fei Ren fled into the depths of the dense forest. His figure flashed and disappeared at an astonishing speed. With his traceless snow steps at full strength, even a Middle Union Stage 7 practitioner would have to expend a great deal of effort to catch up to him. Bastard! Chase this old man! Seeing Fei Ren flee without a fight, Chao Shun flew into a rage. He brandished his blade and chased after Fei Ren relentlessly. TSK. Chase. Seeing this scene, Yan Hong and the few surviving Bloodblade sect disciples looked at each other in dismay. In the next moment, they also chased after Fei Ren and charged in the direction of his escape. A grade 3 movement technique, a valiant defensive power, and a mere middle unity stage 3rd stage cultivation base was able to kill Tugu. This brat is definitely hiding many secrets on his body. As long as I can kill him, all of this will be mine in the end. Looking at Fei Ren's fleeing figure from afar, Chao Shun's eyes flashed with a hint of greed. Just now, a layer of silver-white scale armor suddenly appeared on Fei Ren's body. Naturally, he had also seen it. Such a miraculous defensive martial art was something that Chao Shun had never heard of even after cultivating for most of his life. Thus, he became even more determined to kill Fei Ren. TSK. All of you chase this young master. In a moment, I will send all of you to hell to meet the King of Hell. With a shout in his heart, Fei Ren increased his speed. Like a gray afterimage, he continued to dash into the depths of the dense forest, stirring up bursts of ear-piercing sounds along the way. Chapter 99. This bastard brat. His speed actually increased by a bit? Seeing Fei Ren rapidly shuttling through the dense forest like a dragon entering the sea, Chao Shun's eyes widened. He was a dignified martial artist at the 7th level of the Middle Union stage. However, even after using all his skills, he was still unable to catch up to Fei Ren, who was merely at the 3rd level of the Middle Union stage. It was no wonder that he was extremely shocked. Swish! 5 Mountain King capturing palm. Suddenly, Fei Ren's figure paused as he stepped into the air. At the same time, he raised his hand and blasted out a palm shadow that was like an ancient mountain range. It fell directly towards Yen Hong and the others who were chasing behind him. Its momentum was like a sword breaking through a rainbow, causing people's hearts to palpitate. Not good. Seeing Fei Ren's sudden counterattack, Chao Shun's expression changed. His figure abruptly moved to the side. Although he dodged most of the attack, the valiant palm energy's aftershock still caused his cheeks to hurt, leaving 2 lines of bloody scars. Rumble! In an instant, the palm shadow cut through the air with surging yuan power entwined within. It was like a brownish-yellow mountain had descended into the world. Finally, it ruthlessly bombarded the bodies of Yen Hong and the others, causing them to explode. The terrifying energy's aftershock also raised the entire dense forest to the ground, creating a mess. Only a few miserable cries could be heard. Yen Hong and the few Blood Blade sect disciples, who were lucky enough to survive, were also annihilated by the terrifying yuan power explosion. Not even their corpses were left behind, leaving behind only a pool of black blood. The scene was extremely bloody and horrifying. The 5 Mountain King capturing palm was a quasi-grade 4 martial art. Although Fei Ren was not proficient in it and had only reached the entry level, its power was something that ordinary martial artists would find difficult to resist. Yen Hong, who was in front of him, only had a cultivation at the 2nd stage of the Middle Union realm. The group of Bloodblade sect disciples under him were also small fries at the body refinement realm. Naturally, they were no match for Fei Ren and were blown apart by a single palm. Damn little bastard! Seeing that Yen Hong and the others had died in battle, Chao Shun went completely crazy. His eyes were bloodshot with rage. He immediately sped up and slashed out a blood-red blade light in the air. It slashed directly at Fei Ren, who was not far away. As the head of the Blood Blade School, Chao Shun naturally could not remain calm in the face of the heavy casualties of his subordinates. Furthermore, the Blood Blade School was only a second-rate power. There were only a few middle and high-level experts in the school. The death of Yen Hong, a branch leader, was a huge loss to the Blood Blade School. Boom! The blood-red saber light tore through the sky, bringing with it an ear-piercing sound of wind breaking. It went straight for the vital parts of Fei Ren's body, seemingly unstoppable. Black tortoise armor. In midair, facing Chao Shun's attack, Fei Ren naturally could not avoid it. With a thought, he summoned the black tortoise armor and took the blow head-on. Clang! Boom! The blood-red saber light ruthlessly slashed at Fei Ren's chest. In an instant, it tore apart Fei Ren's clothes, revealing the silver-white scaled armor underneath. The blood-red saber light did not lose its momentum and actually cut off a section of the scaled armor. Blood splattered everywhere. In the next moment, Fei Ren's body fell into the dense forest below. Boom! His body fell heavily on the ground. Fei Ren's face paled. He then spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His aura also became somewhat weak. Compared to Yen Hong and the others, Chao Shun was a powerful opponent. Although he had killed a group of Blood Blade School disciples and branch leader Yen Hong, they were only small fries. As long as Chao Shun did not die, he would still be in a dire situation. So this is the strength of a veteran 7th-level Middle Unity realm martial artist. It is indeed troublesome. Fei Ren circulated the Black Tortoise Immortality scripture to secretly heal his injuries. In the next moment, he took out a life and growth pill from his spirit ring and swallowed it. He still had a few life and growth pills left, and now they could be put to good use. Although he had forced Chao Shun to use his full strength, Fei Ren's situation was not optimistic. He had consumed more than half of his origin power and was injured. Moreover, he had even used his trump card, the 5 Mountain King capturing palm. However, it was still not enough to kill Chao Shun in one blow. "You want to run after killing the Blood Blade School's people? Little bastard, you can't escape death today." In the air a figure flashed. In the next moment, Chao Shun's figure also landed steadily on the ground. His right hand was tightly holding the blood-colored broadsword. His dark vulture face was surging with killing intent. The Fei Ren in front of him was more powerful than any of the young elites he had seen. Even Zi Donglai of the Purple Sun Chamber of Commerce and the Wind Spirit Pavilion of the Wind Martial Sect could not fight to such an extent with a veteran 7th-level Middle Unity Realm martial artist at Fei Ren's level. This little bastard definitely has a secret on him. As long as I can kill him and seize the opportunity on him, I can even break through to the High Star Realm. It was not advisable to let the tiger return to the mountain. Moreover, Fei Ren was a talented young genius. Therefore, the killing intent in Chao Shun's heart was even more intense. "Chao Shun, there are many people who want to kill me. Who do you think you are? If you have the ability, then come." With a cold smile, Fei Ren once again raised the Demon Slayer in his hand. Strands of origin power gushed out from his dantian like an ocean. After a while, with the help of the Eternal Life Pill and the Black Tortoise Immortality Scripture, his origin power had almost recovered. However, the injuries on his body were not completely healed. "You overestimate yourself." Not intending to talk nonsense with Fei Ren, Chao Shun coldly snorted. He once again brandished his broadsword to attack. The sharp blade was aimed at Fei Ren's heart meridian. After a fierce battle, he concluded that Fei Ren did not have much origin power left and would not be able to hold on for much longer. As a 7th-level Middle Unity Realm martial artist, Chao Shun's total amount of origin power was naturally greater than Fei Ren's 3rd-level Middle Unity Realm martial artist. However, he miscalculated. Fei Ren cultivated the 5th-level cultivation technique, the Black Tortoise Immortality Scripture. The total amount of origin power in his dantian far exceeded that of an ordinary martial artist. It was comparable to an 8th-level Middle Unity Realm martial artist. When it came to consumption, Fei Ren had never been afraid of anyone. Carefree slash. Fei Ren drew his broadsword to block in front of his body, forcing Chao Shun to retreat. In the next moment, Fei Ren's wrist trembled slightly. He slashed out several snow-white broadsword chis in the air. The broadsword chis were mixed with origin power, like a howling snow-colored wolf. Roar! Bang! The snow-colored wolf condensed from the broadsword chis fiercely struck Chao Shun's body, forcing him to retreat dozens of steps. At the same time, drops of blood dripped from his body. How is this possible? Seeing that Fei Ren was still holding back, Chao Shun's expression changed greatly. This little bastard still hasn't reached his limit? Chao Shun's eyes flickered with bewilderment. He was no longer as calm as before. His face was ashen and crazy. He had already used all his strength to force Fei Ren into a desperate situation, but Fei Ren still hadn't fallen. Frequent use of high-grade martial arts, even for a middle and high-level martial artist, consumed an enormous amount of origin power. Chao Shun had never imagined that after a fierce battle of life and death, Fei Ren still hadn't reached his limit. On the other hand, his own origin power had been greatly depleted, leaving him with less than half. Thief Chao, this will be your burial ground. Fei Ren swallowed all the eternal pills he had on him in one breath. He wiped the corner of his mouth with his hand, and a fierce killing intent shot out from his eyes. Touching the reverse scale of a dragon meant certain death. Previously, being chased by Chao Shun all the way, he had been suppressing a ball of fire in his stomach. Due to the large gap between their realms, Fei Ren didn't choose to meet force with force. Instead, he used guerrilla warfare. Now that his opponent's origin power was greatly depleted, it was difficult for him to fully display his strength. It was time for him to launch a counterattack. Chapter 100. 5 Mountain King Capturing Palm. With a roar, Fei Ren's body flashed as he flew forward. At the same time, Yuan power surged from his left palm. In an instant, a brownish-yellow giant Yuan power palm blasted out. At the center of the giant palm, overlapping mountain range images appeared. With an imposing aura, it instantly enveloped Chao Shun's body. Quasi-grade 4 martial arts? Seeing Fei Ren suddenly make a move, Chao Shun's expression changed slightly. He was shocked and furious. The opponent's frequent use of high-grade martial arts and strange speed had already deeply shocked him. At this moment, he finally understood why the southern barbarian warrior, Togu, would die in the hands of Fei Ren. The strength of Fei Ren in front of him was not weaker than any Middle Union stage 7th-level martial artist. Crimson 7 murders. Facing Fei Ren's powerful attack once again, Chao Shun's expression became crazed. He also brandished his saber and slashed out 7 dazzling crimson saber light. Each of the crimson saber lights overlapped and finally condensed into a roaring raging flame fire snake. It was lifelike and made one's heart palpitate. A quasi-grade 4 martial arts in addition to a Middle Union stage 3rd-level origin energy cultivation increased its power by several times. As for Chao Shun in front of him, due to the huge consumption of origin energy in his body, his strength was no longer the same as before. Facing Fei Ren's attack, he naturally did not dare to be negligent and immediately used his trump card. Grade 3 martial arts. Seeing the raging flame fire snake rapidly attacking, Fei Ren's expression became solemn. As a veteran Middle Union stage 7th-level martial artist and the Blood Blade sect leader, Chao Shun's strength was naturally needless to say. It was not strange for him to have a grade 3 martial arts in his hand. He had already expected this. Bang! Rumble! Under the gazes of the two of them, the giant palm made of Yuan Qi collided with the raging flame serpent. In the end, an extremely frightening power erupted, and the surrounding forest was razed to the ground. The ground was in a mess, and a thick cloud of dust was swept up, covering the bodies of Fei Ren and Chao Shun. After a few breaths, the dust gradually dispersed, and Fei Ren's figure was revealed. At this moment, he was kneeling on one knee, and the demon slayer that was originally tightly gripped in his hand was stabbed into the ground, emitting a faint cold light. His face was extremely pale. Damn it, panting heavily, Fei Ren couldn't help but feel a wisp of sweetness in his throat, and the corners of his mouth were stained with blood. Pain. Intense pain spread all over Fei Ren's body, as if a brutal viper was rampaging through his meridians, destroying his vitality and bones, making him unable to summon even the slightest bit of strength. Chao Shun's Crimson 7 kills was indeed powerful. Moreover, it seemed that he had practiced it to perfection. It was not inferior to Fei Ren's 5 Mountains King capturing palm. This bastard, this is the first time I've been forced into such a situation. Fei Ren staggered to his feet, and in the next moment, his body went limp, and he fell to the ground with a loud thud, looking very miserable. Little bastard! At this moment, a furious roar suddenly rang out, and in the next moment, Chao Shun's figure gradually appeared. His body was covered in blood and his face was ashen. The crimson blade in his hand was completely destroyed, and there was a huge crack on the blade. It seemed that it had been shattered by Fei Ren's palm. His situation was not much better than Fei Ren's. Is this bastard a rat? He's still not dead. Seeing that Chao Shun still hadn't fallen, Fei Ren's face turned grave, and a rare look of uneasiness appeared on his pale face. He had used up all his origin power in the previous palm, and its power was enough to kill martial artists below the 8th level of the middle unity boundary. Even if Chao Shun was in his peak state, he would still suffer a great loss. However, he still couldn't kill his opponent with a single palm. Although Chao Shun didn't die, his injuries were not light, and he was almost at his limit. At this moment, any middle unity boundary martial artist could easily kill Chao Shun, and vice versa. At this moment, even a 10th level body refinement boundary martial artist could kill Fei Ren effortlessly. Both sides suffered. The battle had reached such a tragic state. Fei Ren and Chao Shun both fought with their lives on the line, using all their trump cards without holding back. You can't kill me, and your origin power is exhausted. I admit that you're a genius, but you'll still die in the hands of your father. Your father loves to kill geniuses the most. Laughing wildly, Chao Shun couldn't help but spit out a few mouthfuls of thick blood. In the next moment, he slowly walked toward Fei Ren. His figure was somewhat unsteady, and at the same time, a weak origin power fluctuation gushed out from his palm. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Although he was heavily injured and only had a trace of origin power left in his body, Chao Shun was still able to stand up. On the other hand, Fei Ren didn't even have the strength to move. His origin power was also completely depleted. It could be said that he was in a desperate situation. Die! Origin power surged in his palm. In the next moment, Chao Shun's palm fiercely slammed onto Fei Ren's chest, his face crazed. Poochie! In an instant, blood splattered. Fei Ren's face paled, and he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. However, a black dagger appeared in his right hand out of nowhere. At this moment, the black dagger was ruthlessly stabbing into Chao Shun's heart meridian. At such a close distance, the heavily injured Chao Shun couldn't dodge at all. I won. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Fei Ren's right hand trembled slightly. This time, he had used up all of his strength. You? How is this possible? Damn little bastard! Feeling a sharp pain in his chest, Chao Shun also spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. His face was filled with anger and unwillingness. In the next moment, his body fell to the ground with a loud bang. After struggling for a while, he stopped breathing. This blade had completely pierced through his heart meridian. The heart meridian was the foundation of the human body. Even a high-star realm expert couldn't save it. Clang! After killing Chao Shun with one blow, the black dagger in Fei Ren's hand fell to the ground lightly. In the next moment, his body fell backward. It seemed that he had reached his limit. Am I going to die here today? Fei Ren breathed heavily. He planned to use the Black Tortoise Longevity scripture to heal his injuries. However, he couldn't muster any strength. The origin power in his body was also empty. He couldn't support the cultivation method's operation. He could only let it recover on its own. It really hurts. Fei Ren gently curled his finger. In the next moment, he sucked in a breath of cold air. His brows were tightly knitted. He could feel that most of the bones in his arms were broken. Moreover, after losing the defense of the black tortoise armor, his chest was hit by Chao Shun's palm. Many of his ribs were also broken. At this moment, not only was Fei Ren unable to stand up, but his body was also covered in bloodstains and wounds. He was on the verge of death. He was hanging on by his breath. If it weren't for the immortal refining cauldron in his body that made his physique stronger than ordinary martial artists, he would have died long ago. Because his injuries were too serious, even the immortal refining cauldron couldn't help Fei Ren directly. In addition, he didn't have any healing pills to take. The only thing he could do now was to lie down quietly and wait for his body to recover on its own. Although he was waiting for his body to recover on its own, there were often devil beasts in this dense forest. Occasionally, he would encounter some martial artists and itinerant cultivators. Fei Ren's situation wasn't safe. Moreover, with his current injuries, he would need at least a day before he could move his body. A day. In the past, this amount of time was very short in Fei Ren's eyes. However, now it was very long. I can't accept this. Perhaps it was because his injuries were too serious. When he thought of this, Fei Ren's eyes gradually blurred. Then, his head tilted to the side and he completely lost consciousness. Chapter 101. In a deep and quiet valley, a bamboo forest appeared in the depths of the valley. A small hut could be faintly seen in the bamboo forest. What a lucky guy. He didn't die even though he was injured like this. However, it's all thanks to my superb medical skills. In front of the bamboo forest courtyard, a young girl in a blue dress was fiddling with some kind of medicinal ingredient. Her slender jade-like hand was holding a silver needle at the same time. Her pretty face, which was like a goose egg, also revealed a little pride. Ugh! Suddenly, a weak voice came from the bamboo house in the courtyard. In the next moment, the girl in the blue dress stopped what she was doing. Her pretty face was surprised. This guy woke up so quickly? Just in time, I can try my new prescription. A hint of craftiness appeared on her pretty face. The girl in the blue dress immediately bent down and stood up. She walked towards the bamboo house with small steps. Ugh! I'm still alive? After regaining some consciousness, Fei Ren felt that his head was still dizzy. Although his body had a reaction, he was still very weak and could not use any strength. It was as if he had just recovered from a serious illness. Even the immortal refining cauldron in his dantian had fallen into a deep sleep. No matter how he summoned it, it did not move at all. Where is this place? Suddenly realizing something, Fei Ren also opened his eyes wide and looked at the unfamiliar scene in front of him. He was in a small bamboo hut, and the walls of the bamboo hut were hung with strange and miscellaneous materials and animal skins. Most of them were mainly medicinal herbs, and there were even some medicinal herbs that Fei Ren had never seen before. He was lying quietly on a bamboo bed at the side, with only a thin layer of quilt covering his body. Did someone save me? As he pondered in his heart, before Fei Ren could react, a sweet and ethereal female laughter suddenly came from outside the house. Then, a young girl in a blue dress walked into the house. At this moment, she was looking at him with a smile on her face. You've finally woken up. At least my 5-poison medicinal wine was not wasted. You are? Fei Ren's face froze as he looked at the blue-dressed girl in front of him. He couldn't help but be stunned. The young girl in the blue dress had a wonderful figure. Her fine black hair was like a waterfall, and her slender waist seemed as if it could be held with one hand. Not only was her appearance extremely beautiful and moving, her entire body faintly emitted a unique and ethereal temperament. She was like a fairy that had descended from the heavens to the mortal world, causing one's heart to be unable to calm down for a long time. I am the Valley Master of the Forgotten Valley. You can call me Shenlan. The girl in the blue dress named Shenlan said with a faint smile. She then stepped forward to check Fei Ren's pulse. Speaking of which, you have to thank me. Glancing at Fei Ren, who was in a daze, Shenlan also crossed her arms in front of her chest, and a mischievous look appeared on her pretty face. Miss Shen, don't tell me I was. Hearing this, Fei Ren was stunned again, and then his eyes suddenly widened. When he thought of being stripped naked by a little girl and thrown into the water to soak in medicinal wine, Fei Ren's face couldn't help but turn green and red. Such an exciting scene, and in a situation where he was unconscious. He felt embarrassed just thinking about it. Hey, I just wanted to save you. What are you thinking? I am not interested in you. Seeing the change in Fei Ren's face, Shenlan also instantly understood something. Her pretty face immediately turned red, and she raised her hand to hit Fei Ren's head, and said in a reproachful tone. I misunderstood. I'm sorry. Thank you for saving my life, Miss Shin. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Seeing that Shenlong was a little angry, Fei Ren knew that he said the wrong thing, and immediately coughed a few times, and squeezed out a resentful smile on his face, as if he was a child who had done something wrong. Idiot! Seeing Fei Ren's flattering appearance, Shenlong also snorted, and then turned to leave the bamboo house. I have applied the medicine for you, and your pulse is also very stable. If there are no accidents, you will be completely healed in 2 or 3 days, and you can also use your yuanli. For these few days you just stay here. Chapter 102. Inside Wang Yu Valley. Miss Shin, the place you live in is really a paradise. After half a day, Fei Ren felt that his body was almost able to move. He slowly climbed up from the bamboo bed and looked at Shenlong, who was busy outside, and said with a faint smile, "Of course, ordinary people can't enter Wang Yu Valley. Without me leading the way, anyone who trespasses into the valley will be bitten to death by my cute little poisonous creatures. In the end, they will be devoured until not even their bones are left." Turning around to look at Fei Ren, the corners of Shenlong's mouth curled up slightly. Sure enough, this girl is a ruthless character. Hearing this, Fei Ren's heart also tightened. To be able to save him from serious injuries and near death, it was obvious that Shenlong was not an ordinary person. Moreover, from the medicinal herbs planted around the bamboo house and the poisonous creatures residing in the valley, it could be seen that Shenlong seemed to be a doctor with superb medical skills. At the same time, she was also an expert in poison research. He was saved by her 5-poison medicinal wine, which allowed him to survive. Miss Shin, are you the only one in the valley? Fei Ren wanted to say something but stopped. He asked again with a puzzled expression. He had never heard that there was such a paradise around Azure Sun County City. Moreover, no forces in the county city had discovered this place. After half a day of interaction, Fei Ren found that Shenlong seemed to have lived in the valley for many years. She did not know much about the warriors and sects in the outside world. It seemed that she did not care about the outside world and only focused on studying her own medicinal herbs and poisons. Most importantly, there were no other people in the valley. Other than some birds, beasts, and insects, there was only Shenlong in front of him. Yes. Shenlong did not turn around and only said quietly, "Have you been living here all this time? Are you alone?" "No, my father used to be the valley master of the forgotten Sorrow Valley. However, ever since my father passed away, I am the only one left living here." It seemed that Fei Ren had inadvertently brought up the sad matter of the past. Shenlong's hands, which were originally busy, stopped moving. A trace of sadness flashed across her beautiful eyes as she spoke faintly. Sorry." Seeing the sudden change in Shenlong's expression, Fei Ren also knew that he had said something wrong. He immediately scratched his head and spoke in an awkward tone. "It's all right, it's all in the past. Right now, this lady only wants to study the 5-poison scripture and inherit father's unfulfilled wish to become a renowned alchemist." Shenlong reached out and brushed her hair behind her ear. She shook her head and a smile returned to her face. Her tone was firm. "Alchemist? Miss Shin, you're actually an alchemist?" Looking at the young Shenlong in front of him, who was only a little over 18 years old, Fei Ren suddenly opened his mouth wide and revealed an extremely shocked expression. Fei Ren was well aware of how difficult it was to become an alchemist. An alchemist specialized in mental energy. The requirement for talent and comprehension was not low. Moreover, cultivating an alchemist required a large amount of medicinal resources. After all, an alchemist did not dare to guarantee a 100% success rate in refining pills. Sometimes, the failure rate of refining pills was very high. "Why, do I not look like an alchemist?" Rolling her eyes at Fei Ren, Shenlong suddenly said unhappily. "To tell you the truth, this lady is a dignified Tier 3 alchemist. Moreover, with your injuries that day, even a Tier 4 alchemist would not be able to save you. If this lady had not studied the 5 poisons scripture left behind by Father, your little life would have been long gone. 5 poisons scripture, Fei-Ren raised his eyebrows. He seemed to have heard of this medical book somewhere before. However, at this moment, he could not recall where. Miss Shin, could it be that you are? His mind trembled. Fei-Ren's expression also changed. He seemed to have thought of something important. Shin Tianjun. Miss Shin. You are the daughter of Miracle Dr. Shin Tianjun? With his eyes wide open, Fei-Ren also suddenly stood up. Then, his gaze was fixed on Shin Lan in front of him. He did not even care about the injuries on his body that had not yet healed. It was as if at this moment, he no longer felt pain and let the white bandage on his body tear open by itself. You sit down. Seeing Fei-Ren stand up with a swoosh and a surprised expression, Shin Lan also frowned slightly. Then, she gently raised her hand and pressed Fei-Ren back on the bed. Her small mouth pouted. Why are you so flustered? Are all you martial artists like this? Shin Tianjun is indeed my father. However, he passed away 3 years ago. What's wrong? Shin Lan put her hands on her small waist. Her beautiful face was angry, as if she was educating a child. Nothing. I have long heard of the great name of Miracle Doctor. Rumor has it that Senior Shin Tianjun even saved the life of the current great Chu Emperor, Chu Tianyang. I have heard of it since I was young. However, at that time I did not know what an alchemist was, nor was I a martial artist. Now I did not expect that Senior Shin Tianjun has already passed away. Scratching his head, Fei-Ren's face revealed a helpless smile. In the past, when he was in Wuhan town, he had heard of the story of Miracle Dr. Shin Tianjun from others. He had never forgotten about it. It was not until his parents died unexpectedly when he was 8 years old that he became a beggar. He was forced to make a living every day. Only then did he gradually forget about this matter. Miracle Dr. Shin Tianjun, one of the famous alchemists of the Dachu dynasty 30 years ago. He possessed the secret manual of the 5 poison scripture. No one knew his exact strength. However, the martial artists who had seen his alchemy and medical skills all praised him. Even the famous level 4 alchemist of the Dachu dynasty, known as the Medicine King Lin Feng, was once his disciple. Miss Shin, your father could be said to be known by everyone in the Dachu dynasty. Even the current Medicine King of the Dachu dynasty was your father's disciple. Fei-Ren coughed dryly. In order to ease the atmosphere, he opened his mouth and smiled. Medicine King? Exclaiming softly, Shin Lan's face revealed a puzzled expression. It seemed that she did not quite understand what Fei-Ren meant. Lin Feng, the famous level 4 alchemist of the Dachu dynasty, known as the Medicine King. This person is an honored guest of the great Chu imperial family. However, compared to you, Miss Shin, he is still a little lacking. After cultivating for most of his life, he is only a level 4 alchemist. Seeing that Shin Lan did not seem to understand the matters of the outside world, Fei-Ren also patiently explained. So it is that ingrate. TSK, I was wondering who it was. A mere level 4 alchemist dares to call himself the Medicine King. How shameless! Back then, Father saw that his intentions were not right, so he did not pass on the essence of the 5 poisons scripture to him. Shameless fellow. It was precisely because he intended to steal the 5 poisons scripture that Father chose to retreat to the forgotten Worry Valley, standing aloof from worldly affairs. Hearing this, Shin Lan immediately snorted coldly. A trace of anger appeared on her pretty face. It seemed that she was extremely dissatisfied with the Medicine King Lin Feng that Fei-Ren had mentioned. Her tone was filled with disdain. So Senior Shin Tianjuan's retirement from the Jianghu was really related to the Medicine King Lin Feng. Seeing Shin Lan's expression and reaction, Fei-Ren was also stunned for a moment. Soon after, his eyebrows furrowed slightly. Back then, the miraculous Dr. Shin Tianjuan's sudden disappearance had also caused a commotion in the Dachu dynasty. The reason was also related to the 5 poison treasure book in his hand. It was rumored that the 5 poison treasure book was a rare medical and alchemy treasure book. If one completely mastered it, not only would one's medical skills be divine, it would also greatly increase an alchemist's mental energy. I did not expect that the dignified medicine king would actually do such a thing of deceiving his master. Thinking of this, Fei Ren's expression suddenly became interesting. An ordinary man was innocent, but a treasure would arouse the envy of others. Humans were all selfish. Shin Tianjun possessed the rare 5 poison treasure book. Even if the other party was his former disciple, it was inevitable that he would covet it. Chapter 103. Your injuries will be healed in a few days. If there's nothing else, just lie down obediently. I'm going out to collect herbs. As she spoke, Shen Lan also stretched her small waist and conveniently displayed her good figure as she spoke in a soft and indifferent voice. Miss Shin, you're leaving the valley? Seeing that Shen Lan was planning to leave the Forgotten Valley, Fei Ren was stunned for a moment. His face instantly turned serious. His injuries had not fully healed, and he could only move his body. He was still unable to mobilize the energy in his dantian. If he encountered any danger, he would not be able to protect himself. Any body refinement realm martial artist could easily kill him. Although the Forgotten Valley was Shen Lan's territory, there was no telling when Shen Lan would return after she left. If someone accidentally barged into the Forgotten Valley, Fei Ren's situation would be worrisome again. He did not want to experience this feeling of near death a second time. Don't worry, you're such a coward. I'll be back soon. Moreover, the Forgotten Valley is not as simple as you think. There are little poisonous creatures that I've carefully raised in the valley. There's also a formation set up by my father outside. Even a high-star realm martial artist would not be able to enter. Seeing Fei Ren's sudden serious expression, Shen Lan covered her mouth and chuckled. She seemed to have expected Fei Ren's reaction and immediately explained. That's good, Miss Shin, take care. Come back soon. Heaving a sigh of relief, Fei Ren lay back on the bed and obediently stayed still. In any case, he could only lie in bed for the next few days and wait for his injuries to recover. Since there was a formation set up outside Forget Worry Valley, and there were also the nameless poisonous insects that Shen Lan raised in the valley, he had nothing to worry about. After Shen Lan left, Fei Ren also tried to circulate the Black Tortoise Longevity scripture to speed up the recovery of his injuries. After close to a day of rest, he could already circulate some of his energy. However, he was still unable to use his martial arts. Moreover, his only second-grade spirit treasure, the Demon Slayer, was also destroyed in the battle with Chao Shun. Sigh, what a loss! When he thought about how the Demon Slayer was reduced to scrap metal and how he did not even get to pick up Chao Shun's spirit ring, Fei Ren's heart ached. After all, he had been taking advantage of others all these years and rarely suffered such a loss. He even almost lost his life. I didn't expect Senior Shin Tianjun to be an alchemist as well. Looking in the direction where Shen Lan left, Fei Ren fell into deep thought. The Tao of Array was mysterious and profound. Array Master was an occupation that was on par with alchemists and weapon refiners. They were respected and worshipped by tens of thousands of people on the Xian Star continent. It was rumored that some array masters could set up powerful arrays that could withstand hundreds of thousands of elite soldiers. There were many types of formations. There were killing formations, defensive formations, and even maze formations and illusion formations. Each formation had a different effect. They were divided into 4 grades: Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow. Each grade was further divided into low grade, mid grade, high grade, and top grade. Among them, the top-grade heaven-grade formation was the most powerful. Although Fei Ren had never seen the power of a formation, he had heard of it. For example, some ancient sects and families in the Black Star continent had passed down their sect protection formation since ancient times. It was extremely powerful. Senior Shin Tianjuan's formation can't be broken even by high-level Star Realm experts. It must be of a high grade. Exhaling softly, Fei Ren struggled to straighten his body. At the same time, he circulated the Black Tortoise Longevity scripture and began to slowly heal his injuries. In the vicinity of Azure Sun County City, the most powerful martial artists were the president of the Purple Sun Chamber of Commerce and the sect master of the Wind Martial Sect. Both of them were high-level Star Realm experts. Even they could not break through the formation outside the Forgotten Sorrow Valley. It was enough to show how powerful Shin Tianjun was. An alchemist, a formation master, and a martial artist. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, Fei Ren would have found it hard to imagine that there was such a genius in the Dachu dynasty. After all, to become an alchemist and a formation master required extraordinary talent, comprehension, and mental strength. It was already very difficult for ordinary martial artists to cultivate their origin power, let alone increase their mental strength. Shun Lan is also an alchemist who specializes in mental strength. Moreover, she has mastered the 5 poison scripture. I reckon that ordinary middle and joint realm martial artists are no match for her. Thinking of this, a strange expression appeared on Fei Ren's face. As everyone knew, alchemists were not weak mortals. Some alchemists with powerful mental strength could even easily kill martial artists who cultivated origin power. Moreover, there were also some alchemists in the Black Star continent who cultivated rare mental martial arts that could also kill people without leaving a trace. If I can cultivate my mental strength and become an alchemist, I won't need to worry about money. After sighing with emotion, Fei Ren immediately stopped daydreaming and began to wholeheartedly operate the Black Tortoise Longevity scripture to heal his injuries. Although he did not have a method to cultivate his mental strength, Fei Ren was not discouraged. His body had merged with the immortal refining divine cauldron, an immortal treasure. After going through the cleansing of his muscles and marrow, whether it was his talent, comprehension, or mental strength, they were not bad. In the future, when his cultivation was successful and he found a method to cultivate his mental strength, it would not be a problem for him to become an alchemist. After all, putting aside mental strength, every alchemist was accumulated with a large number of medicinal materials. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. A few hours later, Shen Lan also returned with a full load. There were more strange medicinal materials in the basket in her hand. Because she had collected new medicinal materials, she seemed to be busy refining the pill formula. At this time, Shen Lan did not chat much with Fei Ren. After changing the new medicine and bandages for Fei Ren, she turned around and returned to her room. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren did not say anything. After all, the other party was his savior. Moreover, he himself wanted to recover from his injuries as soon as possible and leave the Forgotten Worry Valley. I still want to become stronger. Suddenly, a cold purple-robed figure flashed across his mind. Fei Ren could not help but clench his fists, his expression firm. Although it felt very good to live alone with a great beauty in the Silent Valley, Fei Ren was not a person who was greedy for love. He had more important things to do, and that was to continue to become stronger and wash away the shame of the past. A mere Bloodblade sect leader, Chao Shun, could force him into a desperate situation. At this time, Fei Ren was also very clear in his heart that with his little strength, he was nothing. The purple-robed woman who came to the Iron Palm sect back then was even far above the High Star realm. Unknowingly, 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. After spending a short period of leisure time with Shun Lan, where they did laundry and cooked together, as well as going out to gather medicinal ingredients, the injuries on Fei Ren's body had completely healed. Moreover, there was not even a trace of sequelae or hidden injuries. My injuries are completely healed. In the courtyard of the bamboo house, Fei Ren waved his fists. Every strike was fierce and powerful, and he could not help but be overjoyed. This idiot. Looking at Fei Ren in the courtyard with a silly smile on his face, Shenlong also quietly leaned against the door of the bamboo house with her hands crossed in front of her chest. A trace of speechlessness flashed across her pretty face. It seems that this lady's 5-poison treasure book has improved a little. Back then, when she saved Fei Ren, besides out of pity, Shenlong also wanted to test her medical skills. It was precisely because of this consideration that she did not hesitate to pay a huge price to soak Fei Ren in her own 5-poison medicinal wine. Moreover, Fei Ren's appearance was delicate and pretty, and his face was temporarily white. In the outside world, he would be a handsome man. As the saying goes, a young girl yearns for love. No young girl of 18 years old would reject a handsome man, not to mention that Shenlong had always lived deep in the valley and did not have much contact with the outside world. Therefore, she also brought the seriously injured Fei Ren back to the forgotten Worry Valley to heal his injuries. Chapter 104. In addition to my injuries being completely healed, even my vitality cultivation is showing signs of a breakthrough. I didn't expect the 5-poison medicinal wine that little girl Shenlong gave me to soak in would be so magical. Withdrawing his fist, Fei Ren gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid air with a surprised expression. He could clearly feel that his dantian in his abdomen was filled with boundless vitality. Moreover, this boundless vitality was like a tsunami attacking the bottleneck of the realm, as if it could break through at any time and step into the 4th level of the middle combine boundary. This lady's 5-poison medicinal wine is fused with many rare herbs. You cultivate vitality, so naturally you will benefit a lot. Just as Fei Ren was about to circulate his cultivation method to break through, Shenlan's faint laughter came from behind him. Miss Shen, thank you for saving my life. I will definitely repay you in the future. Looking at Shenlong, who was still beautiful in front of him, Fei Ren touched his nose and grinned. These days, he also had to thank her for taking care of him. Otherwise, his injuries would not have healed so quickly, not to mention his vitality cultivation was once again on the verge of a breakthrough. You don't have to thank me. It's also because I helped you heal your injuries that this lady's mastery of the 5-poison treasure book became more skillful. This time, you owe this lady a favor. Sticking out her tongue, Shenlong revealed a mischievous expression, which was a little cute. Although her impression of Fei Ren was not very good at first, after a few days of contact, Shenlong also found that Fei Ren was actually not that annoying. Other than being a little greedy and being afraid of death, he was essentially a good person. Right, are you leaving the forgotten Worry Valley? As if gradually getting used to being accompanied by someone, seeing that Fei Ren's injuries had completely healed, Shenlong could not help but open her mouth to ask. Of course, my current strength is too weak, and I need to constantly improve and become stronger. Last time, if I did not meet Miss Shen to save me, I might have died. Moreover, the Forget Sorrow Valley is a paradise. Other than you, Miss Shen, there's no one else here. Now that I've completely recovered from my injuries, I'm naturally embarrassed to continue disturbing you, Miss Shen. Nodding his head, Fei Ren said with a resolute expression. All right, let's go then. I don't care anyway. If you continue to stay here, you might get bitten by the little poisonous bugs in the valley one day. If that happens, you'll have to trouble me to save you again. So troublesome, seeing that Fei Ren had already made up his mind, Shenlong pouted and snorted softly. Her beautiful face was filled with arrogance. This girl, looking at Shenlong who had a sudden change in attitude, Fei Ren felt somewhat helpless and sighed inwardly. Miss Shen, we'll meet again if fate wills it. Coughing dryly, Fei Ren cupped his hands again and intended to turn around and leave. Oh right. Dummy, this is for you. At this moment, Shenlong once again called out to Fei Ren. In the next moment, she took out a small bottle of black medicinal pills from her robe. Her beautiful face was solemn. Miss Shen, my name is Fei Ren. Facing the nickname that Shenlong casually gave him, Fei Ren felt somewhat helpless. However, there was nothing he could do. After interacting with Shenlong for a few days, Fei Ren felt like a dummy after being called dummy by her. Who cares? I like to call you dummy. You look like a dummy. Take it. Snorting softly, Shenlong had the demeanor of a domineering young lady. Without any explanation, she stuffed the small bottle in her hand into Fei Ren's arms. Miss Shen, what is this black thing? Shaking the small bottle in his hand, Fei Ren's face was filled with black lines. The pills inside looked like black ink. They didn't look like good pills at all. Instead, they looked like useless pills that had exploded. Ignorant. This is a 4th grade pill that I personally refined. Blood decay and bone revitalization pill. This pill can greatly increase the recovery speed of injuries. It is effective for martial artists below the high star realm. It can save your life at a critical moment. What a dummy! With her hands on her hips, Shenlong shook her head in disappointment. She looked at Fei Ren with eyes full of disdain. 4th grade pill. Miss Shen, when did you break through to become a 4th grade alchemist? Just yesterday. Shenlong rolled her eyes at Fei Ren. So, Miss Shen, you're really amazing. Fei Ren touched his nose. Get lost. I won't listen to the flowery words of men like you. The exit of the Forgotten Worry Valley is just in front. If you leave, you won't trigger the formation. I won't send you off. Ignoring Fei Ren's praise, Shenlong pushed Fei Ren out of the bamboo house in the next moment. Then, she turned around elegantly, as if she didn't want to see Fei Ren for a second. Her expression was cold and arrogant. After a while, Fei Ren arrived at the entrance of the Forgotten Worry Valley. Just as Shenlong said, the entrance of the valley was shrouded in mist. It seemed to be some kind of magical formation. Pop! He reached out and touched it lightly. A wave of ripples appeared in the air. It was like some kind of invisible barrier that separated the Forgotten Worry Valley from the outside world. Swoosh! Fei Ren's figure did not stop at all. In the next instant, he passed through the isolation of the array and stepped out of the valley. Shenlong, I will return to repay your kindness. Looking back at the Forgotten Worry Valley that was shrouded in mist, Fei Ren clenched his fists tightly. His expression was complicated. In the next moment, he rushed out of the mountain range at lightning speed. Forgotten Worry Valley in the bamboo house. Father once said that the world of martial artists is full of deception. Those men can't be trusted. But why do I feel a little disappointed now? He saw Shenlong fiddling with the medicinal herbs in her hands over and over again. Her beautiful eyes were faintly absent-minded. Damn it, why am I thinking of that idiot again? I still have to go out in the afternoon to pick herbs. No. Suddenly, Shenlong tore the herbs in her hand and stood up. Her face was slightly red. At this moment, her gaze was looking in the direction of the valley where Fei Ren left. She bit her lips lightly. Her expression made one's heart ache. After leaving the Forgotten Worry Valley, Fei Ren did not return to the Azure Sun County city. Instead, he found a remote and quiet place and began to break through his cultivation base. After being soaked in Shenlong's 5 poison medicinal wine, his cultivation base was also on the verge of breaking through. Previously, because of his injuries, Fei Ren deliberately suppressed his cultivation base and did not break through. Now was the best time to break through. Black Tortoise Longevity Scripture. In front of a waterfall, Fei Ren's upper body was naked. Then, his hands formed some kind of sign and began to cultivate. In an instant, his elemental energy surged and wrapped around his body. It was like a pure white elemental energy field. Its aura was shocking. At this time, he had already scattered lime powder around the waterfall. The smell of the lime powder was very pungent. Ordinary beasts would usually avoid it. As for martial artists and magical beasts, needless to say, if other auras appeared, Faerun would naturally be the first to detect it. Chapter 105. Boom! Along with the circulation of the cultivation technique, the boundless yuan power in Faerun's body was no longer restricted. It swept out and attacked the barrier of the realm over and over again, as if it wanted to break through the bottleneck and step into the next level. Boom! After a quarter of an hour, Faerun's aura suddenly surged. At the same time, a trembling sound came from his dantian. His dantian expanded by a circle and was filled with origin power. He had successfully broken through to the 4th level of the middle unity boundary. It's not over yet? After the breakthrough, Faerun's expression suddenly turned sluggish. He could feel that the origin energy in his dantian was still surging violently, like a tsunami that had yet to recede. There was still no sign of it decreasing, and it seemed to be still increasing. Boom! 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 A large amount of origin power swept out. Under the circulation of the Black Tortoise longevity scripture, he quickly reached the bottleneck of the realm and was only one step away from breaking through. The 5 poison medicinal wine that girl Shenlan made for me is too abnormal. His mind was shocked. Facing such a rare opportunity to break through, Faerun naturally did not dare to be negligent. He immediately circulated the Black Tortoise longevity scripture and continued to break through. Time passed little by little. Faerun's cultivation was also rising rapidly. 5th level of the middle unity boundary. 6th level of the middle unity boundary. 7th level of the middle unity boundary. Just as Faerun's origin power cultivation successfully broke through to the 7th level of the middle unity boundary, the majestic origin power in his dantian finally calmed down. Then, it was completely condensed and consolidated without showing any signs of instability. 4 levels in a row. Clenching his fists, Faerun's face was shocked. After breaking through to the 4th level of the middle unity boundary, Faerun broke through 3 levels in a row. Moreover, his origin power was consolidated without any instability caused by breaking through too quickly. It was enough to see how powerful the 5 poison medicinal wine that Shenlan personally refined was. It was not inferior to a level 5 medicinal pill. Phew! No wonder that girl looked down on Medicine King Linfeng. Compared to the miracle doctor's daughter, a mere disciple is indeed nothing. Withdrawing from the state of cultivation, Faerun gently exhaled a mouthful of turbid air with a strange expression on his face. Linfeng, one of the most famous alchemists in the Dachu dynasty, was known as the Medicine King. If he knew that he was being ridiculed by 2 juniors at the same time, and that he didn't even spare them a glance, he would probably be fuming with anger and vomit blood on the spot. After all, alchemists were very respected in the eyes of many forces, not to mention that the king of medicine, Linfeng, was the only level 4 alchemist in the Dachu dynasty. Other than Shenlan, who lived in seclusion in the Forget-Worry Valley, there were not many alchemists in the Dachu dynasty who could compare to Linfeng. Sigh, it's a pity that the Grade 2 spirit treasure, Demon Slayer, has been destroyed. The power of the carefree saber technique will be greatly reduced as a result. He stood up and put on his clothes. Although his cultivation base had broken through, Faerun still felt some heartache about the destruction of his spirit treasure. After all, it was impossible to fully unleash the power of a saber technique without a good spirit treasure weapon. The carefree saber technique was different from the 5 Mountain King capturing palm. Although it was only a quasi-level 3 martial art, its power was related to the strength of the weapon. If Faerun's Demon Slayer wasn't a Grade 2 spirit treasure when he fought with Chao Shun, but a Grade 3 or even a Grade 4 spirit treasure, He would have been able to cut Chao Shun into two with just the carefree saber technique without using the 5 Mountain King capturing palm as a trump card. It would be as easy as blowing off dust. Therefore, it was obvious that a powerful spirit treasure was very important to a martial artist's overall strength. It was not inferior to a technique or martial art. Forget it, I'll cultivate other martial arts first. How can a living person suffocate to death? It's just a spirit treasure. After shaking his head, Fei Ren's expression returned to normal. He stopped thinking about the spirit treasure weapon and turned to cultivate martial arts. Now, his black tortoise immortality scripture had reached perfection. His grade 2 martial art, 100 snake hands, and quasi-level 3 martial art, carefree saber technique, were both at perfection. The only things he was not proficient in were the traceless snow steps movement technique and the 5 Mountain King capturing palm. These 2 martial arts were not easy to cultivate and required a high level of comprehension. Fortunately, Fei Ren's body had merged with the immortal refining divine cauldron, an immortal Tao treasure. After undergoing the meridian cleansing, his talent and comprehension were not inferior to the geniuses of the outside world. In fact, they were even stronger. Therefore, it was not too difficult for him to cultivate the traceless snow steps movement technique and the 5 Mountain King capturing palm. Deep in the dense forest, in an open space. Kill. Fei Ren's figure flitted across the dense forest. His speed was as fast as the ghost shadow perplexing track. In the next moment, he raised his hand and blasted out a huge brown palm formed by essence power. Rumble. The huge palm formed by essence power had a series of overlapping images of mountains. Its imposing manner was like a rainbow. In an instant, it tore apart the dense forest and huge trees below. The rumbling sound was endless. At the same time, the surroundings were left in a mess. Swish! His figure steadily landed on the ground. Fei Ren heavily exhaled and then slowly withdrew the essence power in his palm. His delicate and handsome face revealed a trace of joy. The 5 Mountain King capturing palm has finally reached the initial stage. Moreover, the traceless snow steps movement technique has also broken through to the initial stage. With my current strength, even if I encounter an expert of the 10th stage of the middle and high boundary, I will not be afraid. His fists quietly clenched under his sleeves. At this moment, Fei Ren's heart suddenly surged with boundless confidence. This was the change in mentality brought about by the increase in strength. In the Xianxing continent, martial arts were revered. As the saying goes, one's fate is up to oneself and not the heavens. If one wanted to completely control one's own fate and become the so-called person above others, one had to continuously cut through the thorns and step through the mountains of corpses and seas of blood. After ending his cultivation state, Fei Ren did not choose to return to the Azure Sun County City. Instead, he had a new plan. The Azure Sun County City was no longer able to accommodate him. A true dragon could not be hidden in shallow water. If he wanted to become stronger, he had to go to a wider world. In the deep forest, Fei Ren's figure was as straight as a sharp sword. He quietly stood on top of a huge tree. At this moment, his gaze was looking in the direction of the Azure Sun County City. His eyes were deep and no one knew what he was thinking. Northern Desolate County. Yi City. Suddenly, a light flashed in his eyes. Fei Ren's expression instantly became firm and resolute. Northern Desolate County was the largest county in the Dachu dynasty and had the strongest strength. Yi City was the central city of the Northern Desolate County. In the Dachu dynasty, its importance was second only to the imperial city. At the same time, it was also a military city in the northeastern border of the Dachu dynasty. It was heavily guarded by the imperial court. As a large county in the northeastern border, the overall strength of the martial artists in the Northern Desolate County was slightly stronger, second only to the imperial city. This was because the northern border was hostile to the Dachu dynasty. In addition, the Dongling province was eyeing the Dongling province covetously. In order to resist the occasional invasions of the Dongling province, everyone in the northern desolate county practiced martial arts. Unlike the imperial family of the Dachu dynasty, the ruler of the Dongling province was not the imperial family of the dynasty. Instead, it was an 8th-grade sect, the Sky Sword sect. As an ancient sect that had been passed down for hundreds of years, the Sky Sword sect's foundation was much stronger than the Dachu dynasty's Chu clan. Moreover, in the past battles between the Dachu dynasty and the Dongling province, the Dachu dynasty had always been at a disadvantage. Even the current emperor, Chu Tianyong, was no match for the sect master of the Sky Sword sect. It was rumored that the sect master of the Sky Sword sect had already stepped into the third realm of the martial body. He was a genuine martial master expert. Although the Dachu dynasty was at a disadvantage in the process of fighting against the Dongling province, there were still several countries in the vicinity and the barbarians in the southwest. Even a country as powerful as the Dongling province did not dare to invade everywhere. After all, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Chapter 106. Even though the Dachu dynasty was located at the edge of the southeast region of the Xianxing continent and was located at the edge of the Hengduan mountain range, there were many neighboring countries. Besides the East Spirit Kingdom, which was the most powerful, there were also the Western Chang Kingdom, Fuyao Kingdom, and Beigong Kingdom, a total of 5 countries. Among the 5 countries, Western Chang was the weakest. Its ruler was an ancient family with a background comparable to the 9 ranks of the great families. As for Fuyao and Beigong, they were ruled by sections. Their background was comparable to that of an 8th-rank sect. They were on par with the Chu clan that ruled the Dachu dynasty. With my current strength, I'm still not qualified to leave the Dachu dynasty alone. Ye city of the northern barren province, I'm coming. After making up his mind, Fei Ren leaped into the distance. His body was as agile as a spiritual ape and his speed was very fast. No matter how fierce the competition between the Dachu dynasty and Dongling province was, it had nothing to do with Fei Ren. Now, he only wanted to quickly increase his strength and find the purple-robed woman who had slaughtered at the Iron Palm sect to avenge his humiliation. Fairy of the Night Devil, just you wait, you bitch. Fei Ren's face was determined. The purple-robed woman was a martial arts expert. In her eyes, he was just an ant in the body refinement realm that she could kill with a raise of her hand. However, as time passed, he was now a martial artist in the 7th level of the Middle Unity realm. He was far stronger than before. Fei Ren knew that he was not a match for the purple-robed woman with just this bit of cultivation. However, he had the immortal refining cauldron in his body. As long as he had enough time, the purple-robed woman, who was known as the Night Devil Fairy, would still have to submit to him. Northern Barren Province was the largest province in the Dachu dynasty, second only to the imperial city. There were many martial artists, rogue cultivators, and merchants coming and going. It had always been an important fortress of the Dachu dynasty in the north. 500 miles away from the city, there was the Imperial Army, the Steel Corps, with many elite soldiers. The Steel Corps was the same as the Jin Qingchu Wen's Iron Armor Corps. They were all elite troops of the Dachu dynasty, with hundreds of thousands of soldiers and horses. They were disciplined and brave. The only difference was that the Steel Corps was not under the jurisdiction of the Imperial Court, but under the direct command of the Chu Emperor Chu Tianyong. They were Chu Tianyong's personal guards. In front of the northern barren province, in front of a swamp covered in fog, Fei Ren's body was in a flash, and he stopped. As long as I cross this swamp, I should be in the territory of the northern barren province. After traveling for nearly 3 days and 3 nights, he finally left the Azure Sun County and arrived at the border of the northern desolate county. Along the way, other than encountering some magical beasts, Feyrin didn't encounter too much trouble. Moreover, he also casually killed some bandits who made a living by murdering and robbing people, making a small fortune. Originally, Feyrin did not have any extra belongings on him. Other than the blood and bone reviving pill that Shenlong gave him before he left, there were only some miscellaneous items and clothes left in the spirit ring. However, after killing some bandits who did not know their place, he gained about 3,000 low-grade vitality stones and a dozen mid-grade yellow rank demon cores. Now, the demon cores below mid-grade yellow rank, as well as the ordinary first and second-grade herbs, Feyrin did not care about them. After all, with his current strength, these things were slightly less valuable and would only take up the space in the spirit ring. Gulp. Gulp, the swamp in front of him was shrouded in thick fog. Although it was called a swamp, it was actually a gray grassland. There was no lack of mud ponds and patches of dry black soil, but most of the gray grassland was still muddy swamps, accounting for about 80% of the area. Looks like this place is not that easy to pass. Feyrin looked around. There was thick fog everywhere, and there was a pool of strange black swamp water under his feet. There was also an inexplicable sense of danger in the air. This swamp was the famous Foggy Swamp around the northern Barren province. There were many powerful demon beasts called armored crocodiles living in it. An adult armored crocodile's demon aura was at least high yellow rank, which was equivalent to a middle Unity Stage 8 human warrior. Because of the danger of the Foggy Swamp, most warriors would choose to avoid this place and take the long way to enter the northern Barren province. However, there was no lack of warriors who chose to take the risk and cross the Foggy Swamp, but most of them were not strong enough and ended up as food in the stomach of the armored crocodiles. Swoosh! With a leap, Feyrin directly flew toward the Foggy Swamp, and then his figure completely disappeared in the thick fog. Although the Foggy Swamp was very dangerous, Feyrin did not panic. Although the armored crocodiles were powerful, they were only high yellow rank demon beasts. With his current strength, it was more than enough to deal with them. Unless he was unlucky and encountered a group of armored crocodiles, then he might have to avoid them. Feyrin's current origin power cultivation was at the middle Unity Stage 7. If he attacked with all his strength, he could easily kill an ordinary high yellow rank demon beast with one palm. It was as easy as blowing off dust. Even if the armored crocodiles in the Foggy Swamp were very fierce, they would still not be able to escape death. Roar! Feyrin's figure was seen shuttling back and forth in the Foggy Swamp. After a while, he broke through more than half of the swamp and arrived at the center of the swamp. At this time, a deafening beast roar suddenly shook from the depths of the swamp, causing people's ears to tremble slightly. It's finally here. Narrowing his eyes, Feyrin's figure suddenly stopped. At the same time, strands of powerful origin power emerged from his palm. His gaze looked straight ahead with a serious expression. Splash! Splash! Suddenly, a commotion came from the swamp below Feyrin's feet. In the next moment, mud splashed and a huge crocodile with pitch-black scales and a head like a copper furnace suddenly broke out of the water. Its long tail was incomparably sharp, and there were even barbs hanging from it. Its bloody mouth made people's heart palpitate. Roar! Once again roaring, this armored crocodile swung its body and stared at Feyrin with a pair of muddy yellow beast eyes. The muddy beast eyes flickered with a fierce, killing intent. It was full of bestiality, as if it had been lurking in the depths of the swamp for a long time. This beast, it's really targeting this young master. Courting death. Looking at the armored crocodile that suddenly appeared in front of him, Feyrin's expression was normal. It was as if he had expected it and was not surprised. Crash! Crash! As if sensing the extraordinary origin power undulations from Feyrin's body, the armored crocodile was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, it slowly floated around Feyrin. Its eyes were filled with bestiality, as if it was waiting for the opportunity to kill its prey in one strike. 5 Mountain King capturing Palm. Faerun coldly snorted. Seeing the cautious attitude of the armored crocodile, Faerun decided to make the first move to gain the upper hand. His feet lightly tapped on the ground and instantly charged towards the armored crocodile opposite him. At the same time, he raised his hand and blasted out a huge palm formed from yuan power. In the middle of the palm, the shadow of a mountain appeared. Chapter 107. Boom! The elemental energy palm cut through the air and heavily smashed onto the armored crocodile's body. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere. The sturdy scales of the armored crocodile were torn apart, revealing its flesh and blood. At the same time, puddles of blood gushed out and dripped into the swamp. Poochie! Walla Walla! After receiving Faerun's powerful palm head-on, the armored crocodile let out a painful roar. Then, it twisted its body and instantly dived into the muddy swamp below. It seemed to have suffered a serious injury and did not dare to come out again. After all, the armored crocodile was a high-grade yellow-rank magical beast. Its defensive power was even stronger than ordinary magical beasts. The pitch-black scales on its body could be considered a second-grade spirit treasure. Therefore, after receiving Faerun's 5 Mountain King capturing palm, it did not die and only escaped with serious injuries. If it was any other high-grade yellow-rank magical beast, if it dared to face Faerun's 5 Mountain King capturing palm head-on, it would definitely die. There was no possibility of survival. TSK, what a tough skin. The scales of the armored crocodile are indeed something. After repelling the armored crocodile with one palm, Faerun frowned slightly. He did not choose to pursue further. Instead, he continued to fly towards the outside of the foggy swamp. After all, this was the territory of the armored crocodile. He could easily kill 1 or 2 armored crocodiles, but if he encountered a group of armored crocodile beasts, it would be troublesome. His elemental energy cultivation was only at the 7th level of the Middle Union realm. The elemental energy in his dantian was not endless. There's a situation. After speeding along the foggy swamp for a while, Faerun's face was slightly surprised. At the same time, he raised his eyes and looked towards the northwest not far away. There, he suddenly felt a large amount of elemental energy fluctuations and the aura of magical beasts. Moreover, some of the elemental energy fluctuations were very weak, as if they were on the verge of death. The fog has dissipated. There are traces of a battle between humans and magical beasts. Moreover, the elemental energy aura here has not dissipated. It seems that it's not far ahead, circulating the Black Tortoise Immortality scripture. Faerun immediately spread out his yuan energy to investigate his surroundings. Soon after, he discovered that there were still yuan energy auras around him that had yet to dissipate. Moreover, there were also deep muddy pits in the swamp nearby. Even the thick fog that pervaded the misty swamp all year round had somewhat dissipated. Obviously, a fierce battle had just taken place here. Let's go take a look first. Who knows, we might be able to get some benefits. Withdrawing his essence force to investigate, Faerun pondered. Looking at the current situation, there was a high probability that some martial artists were attacked by armored crocodiles, and there were quite a number of them. Schwa! After making up his mind, Faerun also activated Traceless Snow Step. His speed increased a little as he flew towards the northwest of the foggy swamp. Roar! 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 At the side of a muddy swamp, 7 or 8 bodyguards dressed in tight clothes were holding weapons. At this moment, they were gathered together in a defensive formation. The surrounding swamp had long been surrounded by aggressive armored crocodiles with red eyes. There was simply nowhere to escape. Only the mournful roars of beasts could be heard from within. The atmosphere was tense. Young master, young miss, what should we do? We've been surrounded by this group of beasts. Looking at the aggressive armored crocodiles with their bloody mouths wide open, a bodyguard in tight clothes spoke in a hurried tone. A trace of fear involuntarily flashed across his face. His elemental energy cultivation was only at the 5th level of the Middle Union stage, while the surrounding armored crocodiles were practically all adult. They were genuine yellow-rank high-level magical beasts, and their strength was comparable to a martial artist at the 8th level of the Middle Union stage. They were simply not something that a mere bodyguard like him could contend against. Damn it, we actually encountered a group of armored crocodiles. If I had known earlier, I would have listened to Father and taken a detour. At the center of the crowd, there were 2 young martial artists, one male and one female. The young man wore a blue robe and held a folding fan in his hand. At this moment, his pale face also revealed a trace of uneasiness and regret. The young man's elemental energy aura had already reached the 8th level of the Middle Union stage. His strength was not bad, but it was still not enough to deal with the enormous group of armored crocodiles in front of him. At this moment, there were at least 20 armored crocodiles surrounding them, and it was not a small group of beasts. Brother, what do we do? I still don't want to die. Whoa. Beside the young man, there was a delicate and pretty girl in green clothes with a petite figure. Perhaps due to the life and death crisis in front of her, the girl in green clothes had already been scared to the point that her face turned pale. At this moment, her charming face was looking at the young man beside her in panic. Her pair of beautiful eyes were in a daze. Unlike the young man, the girl in green clothes' cultivation was somewhat weak, only at the 3rd level of the Middle Union stage. If it were not for the surrounding guards and the young man's protection, she would have already been buried in the belly of the armored crocodiles. Naturally, she was terrified. Lily, don't worry. Even if brother dies, I will send you back to the family safely. Glancing at the girl in green clothes beside him, the young man clenched his teeth and comforted her. A trace of determination and decisiveness flashed across his pale face. These people all came from the Qing family, a first-rate force in Yi City of the northern desolate province. The young man's name was Qing Zhoquan, and he was the young master and young patriarch of the Qing family. In the future, he would inherit the great business of the Qing family. As for the girl in green clothes beside him, she was Qing Zhoquan's younger sister, Qing Lily. Originally, Qing Zhoquan and Qing Lily did not plan to cross the Foggy Swamp. However, the Foggy Swamp was the only way to reach Yi City. In addition, the journey was more daunting than dangerous, and there were no magical beast attacks. The two of them became bolder and relied on the fact that they had many guards with them to cross the Foggy Swamp directly back to Yi City. However, they were very unlucky. Qing Zhoquan and Qing Lily were attacked by a group of armored crocodiles on their way back to Yi City. Many of their guards died in battle, and some of them even died in the stomachs of the armored crocodiles. At this time, only 7 or 8 people survived. It really is a group of armored crocodiles. What's wrong with these people? They know that this place is dangerous, but they still dare to come in and die. Are their lives worthless? After a while, Fei Ren also hurried to the swamp. He looked at the Qing family, who were surrounded by the group of armored crocodiles not far away. Then, he was stunned and a mocking smile appeared on his face. He seemed to be speechless. Fine. Let them do me a favor. Seeing that the Qing family was in a critical situation and that they could be wiped out at any time, Fei Ren also spat out a mouthful of phlegm. In the next moment, he leaped toward the group of armored crocodiles. Although Fei Ren did not want to meddle in other people's business, the Qing family who were surrounded seemed to be from Yi City. Yi City was the center of the northern desolate county. There were all kinds of forces in Yi City, and there was no lack of first-rate forces. If he could save these people, he could also get some benefits and do them a favor. Roar. The two sides were in a deadlock for a long time. Suddenly, an armored crocodile seemed to be unable to suppress its wild beast nature. It roared loudly and rushed toward a guard in the group. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out a disgusting stench. Chapter 108. Evil Creature. You're courting death. Seeing the armored crocodile charging at him, Qing Zhoquan glared angrily. He leaped out and circulated his origin power. He waved the peach blossom folding fan in his hand and forced the armored crocodile to retreat. At the same time, the armored crocodile fell into the muddy swamp and let out a mournful cry. Ugh! Although the armored crocodile's attack was repelled, its sharp fangs still pierced through a nearby guard. The guard's entire arm was bitten off, and blood flowed out nonstop, revealing his pale flesh and bones. At this moment, his face was pale. Walla walla! Although Qing Zhoquan had forced back an armored crocodile, it was of little use. There were still more than 20 armored crocodiles surrounding them. Their eyes were glaring at them covetously, emitting a blood-red color that made people uneasy. Other than Qing Lili, Qing Zhoquan and the guards were not weak. Most of them were above the 4th level of the middle unity boundary. As high yellow rank magical beasts, the group of armored crocodiles in front of them were not low in intelligence. They were only waiting for an opportunity to attack, and were not in a hurry to swarm them. If it were a group of body refinement realm martial artists, the group of hungry armored crocodiles would have already swarmed them and torn them into pieces, becoming food in their stomachs. Young master, you and young miss leave quickly. We'll help you cover the rear. Reaching out to cover his bleeding broken arm, the injured guard's expression was grave as he spoke in a hurried tone. The injured guard's origin power cultivation was at the 6th level of the middle unity boundary. Although it was not weak in the outside world, and could barely be considered an expert, it was still not enough to face the high yellow rank armored crocodiles. Not only were the armored crocodiles ferocious, but they also had extremely hard scales and skin. Their defense was astonishing. Among the people in front of them, the only one who had the strength to kill the armored crocodiles was Qing Zhoquan. The guards under him could only temporarily protect themselves against the armored crocodiles. After a long battle, they would undoubtedly die. As for Qing Lili, who was only at the 3rd level of the middle unity boundary, there was no need to say much. Leave? How? These beasts clearly won't let us go. We can only fight our way out. Qing Zhoquan's eyes suddenly widened. Faced with the dissuasion of his subordinates, he shouted loudly. He knew that he was in deep danger and could only fight. Roar! Roar! Suddenly, another 2 armored crocodiles opened their bloody mouths and flew towards the crowd. Although the armored crocodiles' bodies were huge, their speed was not slow. Moreover, their long tails had sharp barbs and their lethality was comparable to a spirit treasure. A blood-curdling scream rang out, and in the next moment, an injured guard was heavily swept by the armored crocodile's tail. Finally, he fell into the swamp at the side. Then, a few armored crocodiles swam over and devoured him. Blood was everywhere, and not even a bone was left. The scene was extremely horrifying. Bastard! In a rage, Qing Zhoquan also exploded with all his strength. He waved the peach blossom folding fan in his hand and instantly shot out dozens of yuan power ribbons. Like sharp arrows, they repelled a few armored crocodiles that intended to approach. Crash! Crash! Facing the imposing Qing Zhoquan, the group of armored crocodiles at the side also slowly retreated and then dived into the swamp at the side. However, they still did not retreat and only stared at the Qing family covetously. Damn it! Could it be that the heavens want me to die? Although temporarily repelling the attack of the armored crocodiles, Qing Zhoquan's momentum was not as strong as before. It seemed that the yuan power in his body had been greatly exhausted. Brother! Look! Just when the atmosphere was heavy and anxious, Qing Lili, who was originally pale, exclaimed. At the same time, her jade-like finger pointed to a place not far away. What? Hearing the voice, Qing Zhoquan turned his head and stared. He only saw a gray figure appear out of thin air. In the next moment, it flew out of the group of armored crocodiles. He saw that the gray figure had a delicate and handsome face, sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His entire body was engulfed in boundless yuan power. With a palm strike, he neatly repelled the group of armored crocodiles that originally surrounded the Qing family. At the same time, he left behind a few bloody beast corpses. What a mighty appearance, like a god descending to earth. It was Fei Ren. What a powerful guy. At this moment, Qing Zhoquan only had this thought in his mind. As the young patriarch of the Qing family in Yi City, he started cultivating yuan power at the age of 8 and stepped into the Middle Unity realm at the age of 23. Now, at the age of 28, he was already at the 8th level of the Middle Unity realm. However, compared to the gray figure in front of him, he was incomparable. Bastard! Die! In the thick fog, Fei Ren shouted again. Yuan power surged out of his palm, and a huge yuan power palm blasted out in the air. In the middle of the yuan power palm, a mountain range was imprinted. It was as if the 5 mountains had descended and the mountain god reigned supreme. In an instant, 2 more armored crocodiles were beheaded. The originally indestructible scales were also torn apart and blood flowed like a river. Roar! Intimidated by Fei Ren's powerful strength, the group of armored crocodiles that originally surrounded the Qing family roared again and again. Soon after, they scattered and retreated to the periphery of the foggy swamp. Your Excellency has good martial arts. Seeing this scene, Qing Zhoquan could not help but shout. Fei Ren's strength had moved him. You flatter me. Who are you people? How could you mistakenly enter the foggy swamp? The strength of these armored crocodiles is not weak. With your strength, aren't you just courting death? After forcing the group of armored crocodiles to retreat, Fei Ren gently let out a breath. Soon after, he leaped and arrived in front of Qing Zhoquan with a calm expression. Although the strength of Qing Zhoquan's bodyguards was not bad, they were far inferior to the armored crocodiles. Not to mention, there was also a burden. Qing Lily's yuan power cultivation was only at the middle joint realm 3rd level. She was also a woman. Facing such a dangerous situation, she naturally could not play a role. Therefore, Fei Ren's words were not without reason. Your Excellency must be joking. It's hard to explain in a few words. However, I still thank Your Excellency for saving us. I am eternally grateful. Hearing this, Qing Zhoquan also cupped his hands. His pale and handsome face revealed a trace of embarrassment. It seemed that he was unwilling to talk about it. I heard that the Qing family of Yi City is a first-rate force. Your surname is Qing. So you are from the Qing family? With a look of enlightenment, Fei Ren immediately opened his mouth. If he could be on good terms with a first-rate force, he would also gain a lot of benefit. This transaction was not a loss for him. That's right. We are from the Qing family of Yi City. Thank you for saving our lives. This is my elder brother, Qing Zhoquan. As soon as he finished speaking, Qing Lily also stepped forward. She seemed to still be in a state of shock. She took the opportunity to bow to Fei Ren in front of her to express her gratitude. There were faint traces of tears on her egg-like face. It was obvious that the attack of the group of armored crocodiles was not light. My younger sister, Qing Lily. Her nature is playful. Her cultivation is mediocre. Please excuse me. May I know Your Excellency's name? Glancing at Qing Lily beside him, Qing Zhoquan shook his head. Then, he once again cupped his hands to Fei Ren. His tone was calm. I am Fei Ren. This trip was just convenient. Prince Qing, Miss Qing, you don't have to be so courteous. Grinning, Fei Ren raised his hand to indicate that the two of them did not have to be so courteous. His expression was as calm as ever. It's already good enough that I'm able to come back alive. This time, when I go back, I'll ask Father for forgiveness." Reaching out to touch Qing Lily's head, Qing Zhoquan had a doting expression on his face. He then sighed. "These two are really interesting. Looking at their personalities, they don't seem like siblings at all." Following behind the group, Fei Ren also raised his head to look at Qing Zhoquan and Qing Lily in front of him. His expression was thoughtful. Although they were siblings, Qing Zhoquan was much older than Qing Lily. There was a difference of nearly 10 years between them. Qing Lily was only 18 years old, but her cultivation base had already reached middle and high realm 3rd stage. It seemed that her talent and comprehension were not bad, but her temperament was somewhat weak. In the face of a life and death crisis, it was difficult for her to display her full strength. "Young master, young lady, we've arrived at Yi City." At this moment, a guard's shout came from the front of the group. In the next moment, a huge ancient city appeared in front of them. It was majestic. Just the city gate alone was dozens of feet tall. The entire city was built with limestone and could be said to be indestructible. "That's the central city of the northern desolate province, Yi City." Looking at the ancient and majestic Yi City, not far away, Fei Ren's eyes were filled with shock. He then sighed inwardly. Compared to Azure Sun County, Yi City was at least twice as big. Moreover, its scale and grandeur could not be compared to the former. As expected of the Dachu dynasty's northwestern city, it was second only to the imperial city. At the same time, it attracted countless martial artists and loose cultivators to train here. No wonder Dongling Province has always been at the border of the Dachu dynasty. Yi City is really a place that the military must fight for. If we can take down this city, there will be plains to the south. A large number of troops and horses will be able to sweep through the peace and desolation and directly attack the imperial city of Chu. After observing Yi City's geography and importance, Fei Ren also took a deep breath. His expression gradually became solemn. He didn't care about the strife between countries and dynasties, but the Darchu dynasty was the place of his birth after all, and he wouldn't watch on helplessly as the citizens of the Darchu dynasty suffered the invasion of foreign enemies and perished. Moreover, if the Dachu dynasty was annexed by Dongling Province, then Fei Ren's hometown, Wu'an Town, would also suffer. There was still someone in Wu'an Town that he cared about. It was the cute and stubborn girl that he had entrusted to her. "Ting-ting, if fate wills it, we will probably meet again in the future." As if recalling the scene of parting with the Iron Palm Gate, Fei Ren smiled. Then, he shook his head and followed the group toward Yi City. Yi City, Qing Family Hall. Why aren't Quan Er and Lily back yet? At this moment, a middle-aged man in a black robe was anxiously pacing back and forth. His expression was serious, as if he had a lot on his mind. "Master, young master and young miss are back." After a few breaths, a guard in a tight suit stumbled in from the door. He then knelt on one knee and hurriedly spoke. His tone was somewhat breathless. "Quan Er and the others are back." As his voice fell, the middle-aged man in the black robe's figure flashed and arrived in front of the guard. A trace of joy appeared on his determined face. His originally tightly furrowed brows also relaxed, as if he had heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. "Yes, master. Young master and young miss also brought a young man back to the family. He said that he was their friend and even saved their lives." Facing the middle-aged man in the black robe in front of him, the guard hurriedly lowered his head. His face was filled with fear and trepidation, as if he was afraid of the other party's might. "Friend." To be able to make Quan Er take the initiative to befriend him, it seems that this person is quite interesting. Hearing this, the middle-aged man in the black robe gently stroked his long beard with a slightly surprised expression. As the head of the Qing family, he knew his children very well. Qing Zhoquan was one of the famous young geniuses in Yi City. He was also the young master of the Qing family. Not to mention that he was young and full of vigor, he was also quite arrogant. Someone who could make him take the initiative to befriend was definitely not weak. Master, seeing that the middle-aged man in the black robe did not say a word, the guard cupped his fists again, as if waiting for the other party's next order. I know, you can leave first. Glancing at the guard who was kneeling on one knee, the middle-aged man in the black robe waved his hand, and said indifferently. The dignity of a superior was on the verge of erupting, causing people to involuntarily bow their heads. Yes, master. This subordinate will take his leave. As if he had been pardoned, the guard hurriedly cupped his fists and respectfully said, then quietly left. The middle-aged man in the black robe in front of him was called Qing Batian, and he was the current master of the Qing family. His strength was unfathomable, and he had already stepped into the high star realm. As the pillar of the Qing family, a first-rate force in Yi City, Qing Batian's words were naturally obeyed in the Qing family. Chapter 110. Yi City, Qing Family Hall. Father, I'm back. Not long after the guards left, Qing Zhoquan also stepped into the hall. He cupped his hands and bowed to Qing Batian in the middle of the hall. His tone was humble and his expression respectful. I'm Fei Ren. Greetings, Senior Qing. Following Qing Zhoquan's footsteps, Fei Ren also stepped into the hall. However, compared to Qing Zhoquan's respect, Fei Ren was much calmer. He only cupped his hands and bowed. His attitude was that of a junior facing a senior, and his expression was neither servile nor overbearing. You're the friend that Quan Er made? Nodding, Qing Batian turned to look at Fei Ren. His expression was full of interest. You flatter me. Prince Qing and I can be considered to have met by chance. Grinning, Fei Ren shook his head. You don't have to be humble. You're a hero for having a cultivation base at the 7th level of the Middle Union realm at such a young age. Moreover, in the same level of cultivation, even the younger generation of Yi City can't compare to you. Seeing Fei Ren's humble attitude, Qing Batian stroked his long beard. His tone revealed a hint of playfulness. As a dignified expert of the high star realm, Fei Ren's cultivation base naturally couldn't escape his eyes. Moreover, Fei Ren was only 17 or 18 years old, and he had already stepped into the 7th level of the Middle Union realm. It would be more than enough for him to break through to the high star realm in the future. Moreover, for Qing Zhoquan to be able to make friends with such an outstanding young genius like Fei Ren was a good thing for the Qing family. Therefore, Qing Batian was naturally gratified. However, due to the prestige of his senior, he didn't express it too obviously. Father, your son is useless. More than half of the guards who followed me out were killed or injured. Now, only a few of them have returned. Seeing that Qing Batian and Fei Ren were chatting happily, Qing Zhoquan pursed his lips. He looked like he wanted to say something but hesitated. In the next moment, he gritted his teeth and spoke in a disappointed tone. What? Upon hearing this, Qing Batian's expression changed slightly, and his eyes widened. Quan Er, what's going on? Previously, in order to protect the safety of Qing Zhoquan and his sister, when the two of them left Yi City, he specially sent over a dozen Middle-He realm bodyguards from his clan to accompany them. Moreover, these bodyguards were all experts of Middle-He realm 5th layer and above. Now, more than half of them were dead or injured, with only a few returning. How could Qing Batian not be angry? It's not easy being a young master. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren also sighed inwardly. Then, he consciously took a step back. It was naturally not good for him to interfere with the family matters of the Qing family. Father, when we were returning to Yi City, we crossed the fog swamp and were unexpectedly attacked by a group of armored crocodiles. These beasts have strong magic power, and there were more than 20 of them. In order to protect me and Lily, most of the bodyguards bravely died in battle and became food for the armored crocodiles, At the critical moment of life and death, it was because of Brother Fei Ren's help that we were able to break out of the encirclement of the armored crocodiles and successfully return to Yi City. Pausing, Qing Zhouquan's face was full of bitterness. Then, he looked at Fei Ren and could not help but lower his head. After all, the decision to cross the fog swamp this time was made by him. The fog swamp was home to a large number of yellow-rank high-level magical beasts, armored crocodiles. This was something that Qing Zhouquan knew in his heart. Moreover, if he was willing to take the long route back to Yi City, his bodyguards would not have died in battle because of him. Therefore, Qing Zhouquan also felt a trace of self-blame in his heart. I have already warned you not to take any chances. This time, you were lucky to be attacked by a group of armored crocodiles and someone came to your rescue. But what about the next time? Relying on your little bit of cultivation strength to be arrogant, sooner or later, you will die in the hands of others. As his voice fell, Qing Batian stepped forward and gave Qing Zhouquan a slap. His face was full of anger, and his tone was harsh and helpless, as if he was in a fit of anger. Father's reprimand is right. After being slapped by Qing Batian, Qing Zhouquan's originally handsome and white face was left with a trace of bright red. It was burning with pain, but he did not dare to show any dissatisfaction and lowered his head again. After all, this time, he caused the family to lose a lot of battle strength, and his own sister almost died. All right, where is Lily? Is she all right? A little girl like her, why didn't she stay in the family and cultivate properly? Why did she have to run around with you? After venting for a while, Qing Batian's anger subsided a little. Then, he opened his mouth again. His tone was a little slow, but his face was still stern. Sister is fine, she has already returned to her room. This time, I specially brought Brother Fei Ren to report to you, Father. Seeing that Qing Batian's anger had subsided, Qing Zhouquan felt as if he had been pardoned and immediately spoke up. That's good. This time, it's all thanks to little Brother Fei Ren. The Qing family owes you a favor. Hearing this, Qing Batian also sighed. Then, he looked at Fei Ren beside him, and his expression softened. You flatter me, Senior Qing. Although there are armored crocodiles living in the fog swamp, they rarely move in group. Previously, Prince Qing and the rest were attacked by a group of armored camp soldiers. It can only be said that they were unlucky, it was a matter of luck, and in the end, we were able to break out of the encirclement because Prince Qing and his group of guards also contributed a lot. Cupping his hands, Fei Ren smiled faintly and did not deliberately announce his strength. If Qing Batian in front of him knew that he had forced back more than 20 armored crocodiles alone, who knew how many teeth would fall out of his mouth? After all, with a mere 7th-level Middle Union Realm cultivation base, fighting against an entire group of armored crocodiles alone was simply unheard of. Could be called a miracle. With Fei Ren's current strength, he could even fight against a 10th-level Middle Union Realm expert. As long as a high-star realm expert did not appear, no one could do anything to him. Oh, very good, very good. But you saved Quan Er and the rest. The Qing family has always been clear about gratitude and grudges. I don't know what reward you want. Hearing this, Qing Batian nodded meaningfully and spoke again. Finally, it's the main event. As soon as his voice fell, Fei Ren secretly praised himself in his heart. After talking so much nonsense, they finally talked about the reward. After all, saving people for nothing and not getting any benefits in the end was not like his character. The Qing family is a first-class force. It is my honor to be able to make friends with Prince Qing. As for the reward, after hesitating for a moment, Fei Ren finally opened his mouth. Senior Qing, everything is up to you. The Qing family was a first-class force in Yi City and had a strong foundation. Qing Batian in front of him was a high-star realm expert. Fei Ren did not want to ask for too much, so as to avoid making Qing Batian unhappy. After all, this was someone else's territory. If he was too greedy, he might invite trouble. Good, good, good. Little brother, you are very honest. But I, Ching Batian, am not a petty person who haggles over every little thing. You saved Quan Air and Lily, so the reward will definitely not be low. How about this? I have a medium-rank spirit ring with 500 low-grade origin stones. I will give it to you now. How about it? After laughing out loud, Ching Batian took out a medium-rank spirit ring that shone with silver light from his sleeve and handed it to Fei Ren. His determined face had a stern smile, and he seemed to be in a good mood. Chapter 111. Middle Grade Spirit Ring, 500 Low-Grade Primordial Stones. Seeing Ching Batian so generous, Fei Ren's eyes also lit up. After all, 500 low-grade primordial stones was not a small amount. If exchanged for low-grade primordial stones, it would be at most 50,000, enough to support him to break through to the 8th stage of the Middle Unity Realm. Compared to low-grade spirit rings, mid-grade spirit rings had more storage space and were also worth a lot on the black market. Thank you, Senior Cheng. Cupping his hands, Fei Ren also grinned and immediately accepted the spirit ring without the slightest trace of politeness. As a veteran high-star realm expert, the other party was shrewd. Naturally, he would not make a loss. This time, it was rare for him to take out such a large sum. It was obvious that he had taken a fancy to his talent and strength and wanted to rope him in. As for Fei Ren, he had just arrived in Yi City of the northern desolate province, and did not know much about the situation in Yi City. Being able to be on good terms with the first-rate power of the Qing family was also a great benefit. After all, his strength was not yet great. If he encountered a high-star realm expert, it would be difficult for him to contend. Fei Ren was not afraid of those below the high-star realm and could easily kill them. However, the gap between a true high-star realm expert and a middle unity realm expert was quite large. Even if he had the Black Tortoise Immortality Scripture and the 5 Mountain King Capturing Palm, he still did not have a high chance of winning against a high-star realm expert. After a martial artist stepped into the high-star realm, not only would the Dantian's primordial energy be greatly enhanced, but it could also be shaped and condensed into various weapons at will. Its power was comparable to ordinary spirit treasures. Once a martial artist broke through to the high-star realm, the strength of their physique would greatly increase. Although it was not invulnerable to water and fire, it could be said to be invulnerable. It was not inferior to the southern barbarians who cultivated their physique. This was also the huge gap between the high-star realm and the middle unity realm. In the vast Black Star continent, there was a rumor that those below the 3 stages of martial body were ants, and those below the high-star realm were all weeds, weaker than ants. My road is still long. Fei Ren put away the mid-rank soul ring and the low-rank yuan stones into his bag. A trace of determination flashed across his face. Currently, he was merely a small martial artist at the 7th stage of the Middle Union realm. He had not even stepped into the high-star realm. That mysterious purple-robed woman who had appeared in Wu-An town could easily kill him, let alone leaving the Dacha dynasty and roaming the Xian star continent. Brother Fei, this is a small token of my appreciation. At this moment, Ching Zhouquan took out a small bottle of pills and handed it to Fei Ren. There's an unexpected gain? Seeing this scene, Fei Ren was stunned for a moment. Then, he reached out and caught the bottle with a puzzled expression. Prince Ching, what kind of pill is this? The pill in the bottle was completely red. In the center of the bottle, there was a faint red line rolling up and down like a thin dragon. At the same time, it emitted a burst of pill fragrance, causing people to be unable to help but feel relaxed and happy. It was quite strange. It seemed to be a high-grade pill. 4th-grade pill, Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven pill. The corner of Ching Zhouquan's mouth rose, and he revealed a proud expression, as if he was proud of this pill. This red dragon mysterious heaven pill came from the hands of the medicine king, Lin Feng. It was refined using dozens of precious medicinal ingredients and the magic core of the yellow rank top magical beast, the demonic dragon tiger. The success rate is low, but the medicinal effect is very strong. After consuming it, one can directly break through their cultivation without any instability or side effect. However, this pill can only be consumed once in a martial artist's life. After consuming it multiple times, it will lose its medicinal effect. Previously, Father gave me 2 red dragon mysterious heaven pills, so I'll give the remaining one to Brother Fei. After laughing for a long time, Qing Zhouquan also withdrew the peach blossom fan in his hand and explained unhurriedly. Medicine King, Lin Feng. So this red dragon mysterious heaven pill was refined by that deceiving fellow. Looks like it's not bad. Squinting his eyes and looking at the red dragon mysterious heaven pill in the bottle, Fei Ren's face couldn't help but reveal a trace of admiration. I wonder if this medicine king, Lin Feng, or that little girl, Xunlan, is stronger. Although Xunlan had said that this Lin Feng's character wasn't good, his alchemy skills were not bad. As a top 4th grade alchemist, Lin Feng could be considered famous in the alchemy world of the Dachu dynasty, and was deeply favored by the Chu royal family. Because of this, it was very difficult for ordinary martial artists to ask for a pill refined by Lin Feng. Although Qing Batian was the head of the Qing family, a first-rate force in Yi City, and himself was a high-star realm expert, it was very difficult to get these 2 red dragon mysterious heaven pills from Lin Feng. Such a precious pill, Prince Qing, how can I accept it? After coughing a few times, Fei Ren's expression gradually returned to normal, and then pretended to decline. Accept it, you are a friend of our Qing family, now and in the future. Seeing Fei Ren decline, Qing Batian beside him also spoke indifferently. His words revealed a domineering aura that couldn't be refused, as if the dignity of a superior had also appeared at this moment. Since that's the case, then I'll accept it. After the pleasantries, Fei Ren didn't decline anymore. He once again cupped his hands towards Qing Zhouquan and Qing Batian. For these few days, Brother Fei will temporarily stay with the Qing family. As the host, I want to properly entertain you. There are many fun places in Yi City. I think you haven't seen them yet. Seeing Fei Ren accept the red dragon mysterious heaven pills, Qing Zhouquan's gloominess in his heart was swept away. He waved his fan and smiled. Having made friends with such a powerful young genius, his face was naturally much more dignified. Prince Qing is in such a good mood, but I still have some things to do, so I need to leave first. Next time. Nodding his head, Fei Ren cupped his hands again and turned to leave. After all, compared to strolling around, he had more important things to do. Quan Er, what do you think of this person? After Fei Ren left, Qing Batian also stroked his long beard. Then, he looked at Qing Zhouquan and said with a meaningful tone, Father, this person is very strong, and his talent and comprehension are not inferior to any of the young geniuses in Yi City. Even I am far inferior to him, however, to be able to become friends with such a top genius, even if the Qing family doesn't soar in the future, at least it won't decline. Facing Qing Batian's probing, Qing Zhouquan also lightly shook his head. A dry smile appeared on his delicate and fair face, as if he knew his own limits. That's right, Quan Er, your thoughts are the same as Father's. Hearing this, Qing Batian nodded in agreement. A trace of profoundness flashed across his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking at this moment. Although he had agreed to Qing Zhouquan's invitation, Fei Ren was not in a hurry to go out. Instead, he stayed in a courtyard of the Qing family and prepared to break through his cultivation base. Now that he had a grade 4 pill, Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven pill, and a total of 500 low-grade primordial stones given by Qing Batian, if he did not break through now, when would he? Therefore, Fei Ren did not waste time and began to cultivate in seclusion. Although his primordial energy cultivation base was progressing rapidly, it was still lacking compared to the disciples of the ancient noble families of the Dachu dynasty, as well as the disciples of some powerful sections. After all, Fei-Ren did not have any family or sect background. He could only rely on himself and the divine immortal Cauldron. Just like the young master of the Qing family, Qing Zhoquan, as a direct descendant of a first-rate force, was only 28 years old and had a cultivation base at the 8th level of the middle unity boundary. If he did not have the divine immortal Cauldron and various opportunities, Fei-Ren would not be able to catch up to him even if he cultivated for a lifetime. This was the difference in the starting point of martial arts cultivation. Chapter 112. In a room in a courtyard of the Qing family, Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill, it's up to you. Fei-Ren quietly laid a crimson pill in his palm. In the next moment, he raised his head and swallowed it. As the pill entered his body, a huge wave of heat instantly filled his entire body, as if he was in a furnace, extremely hot. What a powerful medicinal strength! As expected of a grade 4 medicinal pill, Fei-Ren's expression slightly changed. In the next moment, he hurriedly circulated the Black Tortoise longevity scripture and began to gradually absorb the majestic medicinal power of the Scarlet Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill. The Scarlet Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill was one of the rarest grade 4 medicinal pills. The purity of the medicinal power contained within it was also incomparable to that of ordinary medicinal pills. Not long later, under the nourishment of the Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill's medicinal strength, Fei-Ren's Dantian Yuan energy also gradually overflowed. Very quickly, he reached the edge of the bottleneck of the realm, and was only a step away from breaking through. That Medicine King Lin Feng had only secretly learned a little, and his alchemy level is already so high. The quality of this Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill is already infinitely close to a grade 5 medicinal pill. I wonder how powerful Senior Shin Tianjun, who was known as the Miracle Doctor that day, is, and what rank of alchemist he is. After exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, under the stimulation of the powerful medicinal strength of the Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill, Fei-Ren also felt unbearably hot. He immediately took off the clothes on his upper body, revealing his muscular body. At the same time, his originally delicate and pretty face also slightly flushed, and a trace of sweat could be faintly seen dripping from it. The stronger the pill, the greater the test on the physical fitness of the martial warriors. Therefore, to the martial warriors, the cultivation of the Yuan power was the foundation. If one did not cultivate step by step, one would not be able to become a peerless expert just by eating pills. In the Xianxing continent, there was no lack of martial warriors who had swallowed high-level pills, but in the end, their bodies could not withstand the medicinal strength of the pills and exploded. The Red Dragon Mysterious Heaven Pill that Fei-Ren had swallowed contained Berserk Fire attribute Yuan power. If not for the immortal refining cauldron in his body, he would not have dared to directly swallow it. Boom! After an unknown period of time, the half-naked Fei-Ren's body suddenly shook, and then he suddenly spat out a mouthful of foul air. His eyes flickered with a bright light, and at the same time, the aura of origin energy on his body skyrocketed at this moment before finally breaking through the shackles in one go. 8th level of the Middle Union Realm. It's done. Joy surfaced on Fei-Ren's face as he abruptly stood up. Soon after, he waved his palm and slammed it towards a stone platform outside the house. Palm Chi flew out and instantly shattered the stone platform, turning it into a pile of fine powder. Its power was terrifying. I've finally broken through. Right now, I might not be able to match a level 1 Star Realm cultivator, but I should have no problem running away. As for martial artists below High Star Realm, I don't care about them at all. Retracting his palm, Fei Ren was very satisfied with his cultivation breakthrough. Just now, it was just a casual attack, but its power was comparable to the full-force attack of an ordinary 10th-level Middle Union Realm martial artist. It was enough to show how terrifying his strength had increased. With Fei Ren's current strength, he could instantly kill martial artists below the 8th level of the Middle Union Realm in one move. As for martial artists below the High Star Realm, he could easily defeat them and even kill them if he used his full strength. It could be said that he was invincible below the High Star Realm. It's time to go out and relax. Unknowingly, he had already cultivated for a day and a night in the courtyard of the Qing mansion. Now, dawn had arrived and the earth was beginning to brighten. Creak, pushing open the door, Fei Ren walked out of the house in the next moment. The area of Yi City was very large, and the streets were very lively and prosperous. Merchants and martial artists with stalls could be seen on both sides of the street. There was no lack of 9th or even 10th level Middle Union Realm martial artist expert. As for body refinement realm martial artists, they could be seen everywhere like cabbages. This also confirmed a dialect passed down in the Dachu dynasty. The martial artists in the northern Desolate County were much stronger than the other counties of the Dachu dynasty. It could be said that the people here were valiant, and the trend of martial arts was prevalent. Brother Fei, there's a blue and white flower house in Yi City. The performers there are very beautiful, and they're proficient in the 4 arts. Why don't we go and take a look? Qing Zhouquan, who was holding a folding fan, seemed to be a little bored. Then, he glanced at Fei Ren beside him. Prince Qing, we can go to that kind of place anytime. It's still early, let's go to the market and see if we can find any treasures. Facing Qing Zhouquan's invitation, Fei Ren coughed dryly, and then tactfully declined. Originally, he didn't want to go with Qing Zhouquan. However, the other party kept pestering him, as if he wanted to rely on him, so he could only nod. As the young master of the Qing family, Qing Zhouquan was also a playboy to the extreme. He was very familiar with the debauchery of Yi City. If it wasn't for the fact that Qing Zhouquan was at the 8th level of the Middle Union Realm and had decent talent and strength, Fei Ren would have thought that Qing Zhouquan was just a playful playboy. It's a pity that Lily didn't pester me to go out with her today. Looks like Brother Fei isn't interested in women. Seeing that Fei Ren wasn't interested, Qing Zhouquan sighed with a playful expression. The beauty of a performer can't be compared to a fairy. Facing Qing Zhouquan's teasing, Fei Ren smiled slightly, as if there was a hidden meaning in his words. Looks like Brother Fei already has a sweetheart. Hearing this, Qing Zhouquan was stunned. Then, he smiled without saying anything. Clearly, he was a smart person. Bitch. It's your fortune that I've taken a liking to you. How dare you resist? At this moment, a commotion suddenly came from not far away. The next moment, it was accompanied by the soft sobbing of a woman. What's going on? Looking over, Fei Ren was slightly surprised. He saw a group of people on the opposite street. In the middle of the crowd, a young girl in plain clothes was sitting on the ground. She was covering her face and crying. Next to her was an old man with a weak aura. It seemed that he was nearing the end of his life. In front of the young girl and the old man, there was a young man in a brocade robe standing with his arms crossed. His face was fierce, and he had an arrogant and domineering look. Young master, my father is currently suffering from a serious illness and lacks money to buy medicine. Although I have vowed to sell my body to save my father, the amount of money you gave me is not enough to buy medicine. Please don't make things difficult for me. Not daring to raise her head to look at the brocade-robed man in front of her, the young girl in plain clothes kowtowed again. Then, she sobbed softly. Her beautiful face was already covered in tears, and she seemed helpless and desperate. Not enough? 10 silver taels is more than enough. A bitch like you is only worth this price. If you don't obey, don't blame me for being rude. Glancing at the young girl in plain clothes who was paralyzed on the ground, the brocade-robed man sneered. His tone was mocking, as if he was determined to bully the father and daughter in front of him. The brocade-robed man in front of him was about 20 years old. His cultivation had reached the 5th level of the Middle Union stage. His strength was not bad. On the other hand, the young girl in plain clothes was just an ordinary person. The yuan power aura on her body was pitifully weak. She was not even at the 4th level of the body refinement stage, and did not seem to have learned much martial arts. So it's a disciple of the Lingjian school. I was wondering why this guy was so arrogant and domineering. At this moment, Qing Zhouquan, who was beside Fei Ren, took a step forward. Then, he crossed his arms and said. He seemed to have seen the background of the brocade-robed man, and his face was solemn. Chapter 113. Lingjian School. Hearing this, Fei Ren's face was filled with surprise and a trace of doubt. According to his understanding over the past few days, the famous forces around Yi City were none other than the Qing family, the Yun family, and the Golden Rainbow Escort Service. These three were all top-notch forces with a long history and a strong foundation. As for the so-called Lingjian School, he had never heard of it. The Lingjian School is one of the 3 major sects in the Dachu dynasty. It's also one of the rare 9 ranks of the great families. It's said that it's been around for hundreds of years and has a strong foundation. It existed long before the Dachu dynasty was established. Moreover, when the Chu family's ancestors established the Dachu dynasty, the Lingjian school seemed to have done a lot of work for them. Thus, it was trusted by the current royal family and the imperial court. Its disciples have always been arrogant and domineering, and have often bullied others. Seeing that Fei Ren didn't seem to know much about the Lingjian school, Qing Zhouquan also gently waved his fan and spoke with a sigh. Although he was the young master of the Qing family and had a small reputation around Yi City, he didn't want to take the initiative to provoke trouble. Although the strength of this spirit sword sect disciple was mediocre, if he angered the sect behind him, even if the Qing family was a first-class force, it would still be difficult for him to escape the blame. 9 ranks of the great families. No wonder this guy is so arrogant. But I've never been afraid of anyone. Hearing this, Fei Ren narrowed his eyes. Then, his gaze slowly fell on the man in the brocade robe not far away. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Sigh, what a pity. She actually encountered a Lingjian school disciple. This girl probably won't be able to escape. Yeah, it's just 10 taels of silver. At most, it's enough to eat and drink for a month in Yi City. This Lingjian school disciple is clearly a bully. That old man had a hard life. He was so poor that he didn't have the money to buy medicine to treat his illness. In the end, he even lost his daughter. TSK, it can't be helped. Lingjian school is one of the 9 ranks of the great families and is highly valued by the imperial court. Meanwhile, the spectators on the streets grew in number, and for a time, they discussed animatedly while sighing endlessly. They seemed to be sighing with emotion about the tragic fate of this young woman before them. Bitch, don't push your luck. Due to the large number of people around, the expression of the man in embroidered robes from the Lingjian school changed slightly. Then, he shouted angrily. At the same time, he took out a small bag of money and threw it in front of the plain-clothed girl. His expression was arrogant, as if the plain-clothed girl in front of him was already his. If it wasn't for your good looks and the fact that there are so many people around, I would have done you a long time ago. I wouldn't have to go through the trouble of spending 10 taels of silver. Glancing at the plain-clothed girl kneeling on the ground, the man in embroidered robes sneered. At the same time, he secretly thought to himself, as if he had already planned this. The man in embroidered robes was called Liang Yuan. He was a disciple of the Lingjian school, one of the 3 great sects of the Dachu dynasty. Although he was only a nominal disciple of the Lingjian school, His status wasn't high, and his strength wasn't very strong. However, because of the reputation of the Lingjian school, Liang Yuan was able to make a name for himself in Yi City. Almost no one dared to provoke him. Prince Cheng, this brat, bullied an innocent woman on the street. His character is vile and his methods are unbearable. It's not good for us to just watch, right? Seeing this scene, Fei Ren more or less understood the ins and outs of the matter. Although he turned his head to look at Qing Zhoquan beside him, his tone gradually became more and more fierce. Brother Fei, don't tell me you want to? Sensing the killing intent that flashed across Fei Ren's eyes, Qing Zhoquan was also stunned. Then, he widened his eyes. After all, the other party was from the 9th ranks of the great families and had a powerful background. If he took action to stop Liang Yuan this time, it was inevitable that the 9th ranks of the great families would crazily seek revenge. Although the Qing family was a first-rate faction, it was still somewhat difficult for them to bear. After all, the Qing family had just encountered danger in the fog swamp yesterday, and the Qing family had just lost a group of powerful guards. This brat only has a cultivation base of Middle Unity Stage 5. I don't need to do anything. Prince Qing, you alone can easily deal with him and make him disappear from this world. Although Fei Ren was not a busybody, the situation of the plain-clothed girl in front of him resonated in his heart. Once upon a time, his parents died early and he was reduced to a little beggar on the streets of Wu-An town. His situation was not much better than the plain-clothed girl in front of him. Even so, he is from the 9th ranks of the great families. I'm afraid. Still somewhat hesitant, Qing Zhochuan's expression changed. It seemed that he did not want to cause trouble. A real man is born in this world. How can he be so indecisive? Seeing that Qing Zhoquan was still unwilling to intervene, Fei Ren did not force him. He only shook his head and then flew toward the opposite crowd. Brother Fei. Seeing that Fei Ren left as soon as he said so, Qing Zhoquan was also caught off guard. In the next moment, he also flew toward the opposite crowd with a grave expression. Young master, I really can't do it. I hope that young master will let me and my father go. With tearful eyes, the plain-clothed girl bit her lips. She hesitated for a long time but still did not agree to Liang Yuan's request. This was because she was very clear that once she agreed to Liang Yuan's request, not only would her father's illness not be cured, she would also be like a lamb in a tiger's den, sullying her body for nothing. Bitch, you dare to trick me! Seeing this scene, Liang Yuan finally could not hold back the anger in his heart. He raised his hand and slapped toward the plain-clothed girl's face. It was full of strength and had already used Yuan power. Anyone with discerning eyes could see that if she was hit by this slap, the plain-clothed girl's frail body would not be able to withstand it and would die. Stop! Suddenly, a man's clear voice came from a distance. In the next moment, Liang Yuan's wrist was forcibly grabbed by Fei Ren and stopped in midair, unable to move. At this moment, his face was flushed red and the web between his thumb and forefinger trembled. It was as if he could not use the strength in his entire body. You? Who are you? Feeling waves of intense pain coming from his wrist, Liang Yuan's face was filled with shock and he immediately panicked. Although Fei Ren, who suddenly appeared in front of him, looked ordinary, his strength was unfathomable. He was simply unable to see through the Yuan power aura on Fei Ren's body. Moreover, Fei Ren's palm was extremely strong. No matter how Liang Yuan struggled, he was unable to break free. Let me go. Do you know who I am? I'm a disciple of the Lingjian school. How dare you attack me? Are you courting death? Shouting hysterically, Liang Yuan also circulated his Yuan power, intending to break free from Fei Ren's restraint. However, Fei Ren's palm was still as motionless as a mountain. After a while, his entire wrist became red and sore like a pig's trotter. It doesn't matter who I am, but you're going to die soon. Coldly glancing at Liang Yuan, Fei Ren's face was indifferent, and his tone was like a death god that had returned from hell, causing people's hair to stand on end. Killing intent. Baleful aura. Don't kill me. I'm a disciple of the Lingjian school, let's talk nicely. Young hero. I was wrong. Looking at the cold and ruthless Fei Ren in front of him, who was full of killing intent, Liang Yuan's pupils also bulged. His face was filled with fear, and suddenly his crotch became hot. He was so scared that he actually peed on the spot. Only a martial artist whose hands were stained with countless lives could condense such a strong, baleful aura. He was just a small registered disciple of the Lingjian school. He indulged in eating, drinking, and playing all day long. Now that he was facing Fei Ren, he was naturally scared half to death. His original arrogant and despotic aura also instantly withered. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.